Just building up a little suspense. Just building up a little suspense now. What's up, everybody? Thank you, Creaseful, for the $2 super chat. What's up, everyone? Are you guys ready to party tonight? Are you ready? We're not talking Halloween. We're not talking Friday the 13th. We're not even talking Elm Street. We're talking The Living Dead. We're talking, quite frankly, one of the greatest subgenres of horror. And the problem is, I think people will see a bad zombie film and they'll be like, pass. I don't like zombie films. But I need an expert on the show with me tonight. So that's why I've got the one and only Dirty Money, Brandon Tabata, with me. What's up, B Money?
Dirty Money. I like that. What's going on, man?
Mm.
Happy, what is it, Friday? Yeah, it's Friday.
Friday, and I'm off this weekend for fresh
nice.
vacation.
Sweet. Hell yeah.
So I went to Scarefest, man, and
I'm so jelly.
That was great, dude. So I met Marsha Dietland, I believe her last name, from Return of the Living Dead 2, and I damn near just got on one knee and proposed to her. I mean, dude, she's so beautiful, and like she was so lovely, and she was so happy. I think I was the only person there with an ROTLD 2 shirt on, and she was so happy to see it. And I just told her, like, I don't think you know how much, like, she doesn't understand that there are fans out there for Return of the Living Dead 2 yet. Like, she's this was her third convention, I think. And she was just, like, astounded by the fact that I was like, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. And she was like, really? And I was like, I love you. You don't understand. I love you so much. Yeah. And she was just so happy to hear that. And,
it's cool that the convention circuit's even like bringing them to conventions now, like the Return of the Living Dead 2 cast. It seems like on a pretty regular basis now, which is awesome. And yes. I feel like, I mean, if you're an actor from that movie, you've been shit on for 30 years now, right? So it must be kind of weird for them to finally be like, holy crap, this movie's like finally getting a cult following. Like, we've liked that movie forever, but I feel like a lot of people are just now starting to warm up to it,
right?
Which is really weird.
Definitely. Let me say hi to everybody, Brandon. I can't wait. The people are actually really excited. The chat is ready. Like, they're like, dude, yes, I'm in a zombie mood.
I'm seeing it.
We're hitting this at the right moment, which is great. Yes. We got Jaden in the chat. Summertime Blues, Michael Sullivan. Rock Music Forever, Dave Vanderhoff. Good old Dave. Miss Erica Lauren. Horn Mason. Say that fast 3 times. My Killer Podcast. What's up, Mel? How you doing? Saturn Video. What's up, Prey? Black Gift. What's up? John McCullough. John Kyle Stanton, my buddy. How are you doing? Fight the Good Fight. Horror Business. Saturn Video. J Muse. Creasefold, thank you again for the $2 super chat. Creasefold, I really appreciate it. Well, it ain't working now, Frank. Take the ring. Who is this irresistible creature who has an insatiable love for the dead? Living Dead, girl. Now that song's to be stuck in my head. Antanas, how are you? So what's up, everybody? Good to see you guys. All right, so Brandon, let me start this episode off. And guys, let me ask you a question real quick. I have been asked about this. I didn't realize until I started seeing the numbers on Spotify that a lot of you really do like to listen to the shows through podcast platforms. Would you guys want me to start taking some of my live shows like what we're doing here? For instance, this and the Italian show I did with Pizzal and Lorne, and putting that on Spotify, whether I just put it under the Unita umbrella or just make like Planet CHH podcast where I just put these shows. If you guys would like that, and it would be easier on some of you to be able to listen to it and not stream the actual video, let me know. That would be very easy for me to do. It's up to you guys. Just let me know. But Brandon, let me start this out, dude, with something I want to say. You tell me where you are with this. Like I said at the top of this episode, I feel like maybe not some of the well-established people in this chat, because we have a very educated audience. There's no doubt about that. But there's a lot of people I talk to that will say, I'm not really a zombie movie fan. And I always feel like they don't dive deep enough in to see some of the really good movies, because this is my thing I say to them, Brandon. Now you tell me if you agree with this. there's two types of zombie films. There's three in my opinion. I keep it very simple.
Mm,
There's, simply put, just bad zombie movies.
mm.
There is good zombie movies with good special effects, and there is great zombie movies where the zombies are not the point of seeing the film. Where, like, when you think of Return of the Living Dead, the last thing I'm thinking about is this is a zombie film because of everything surrounding it. I mean, where are you at when you think of the zombie genre in that aspect?
I'm probably in the same boat. I mean, to me, there's really bad zombie flicks, like you said. There's ones that are decent. You know, you kind of watch them once or twice every couple of years, and they're a fun, enjoyable ride. And then there's the zombie flicks that are absolute epics. Like when I think of the aforementioned Return of the Living Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead, the remake of Dawn of the Dead, Zombie 2. Those movies are all zombie movies for sure, and they're gore and gross out movies definitely. But they're epics to me versus just standard zombie fare, if that makes any sense at all. I would say they're epics.
Definitely. Now, what I really want to do tonight is cover the classics, cover the big ones, but
Mhm.
also talk about some smaller ones. I know you're a big fan of one in particular movie called Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which we'll
Yes.
get there, and I'm excited to hear you talk about that film. I don't know where else to start with this. Now, Night of the Living Dead is not necessarily the first zombie film ever made, but for all intents and purposes, the original Night of the Living Dead really is what the genre is. I mean, without Night of the Living Dead, I don't think you have your Walking Deads. You don't have, obviously, your Return of the Living Dead. You don't have the genre the way we know it. Here's the thing I want to ask you, though, Brandon. Do you like Night of the Living Dead out of respect, or do you still think it is just a plain and simple, damn good horror film?
Um, I think it's probably a little bit of both, if I'm being honest. Like I enjoy the film for what it is. I've seen it way too many times.
Yeah,
Um, I do think
Criterion
it
release.
has sort of a legacy issue because I think there's a lot of because of what it did to revolutionize horror, the genre, and zombie movies as we know it today. I think it gets far more credit than not necessarily than it deserves, but than the film warrants on its own. Like I much prefer the 1990 remake over the 68 version. But yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I like the film, but it's not boring, but it's definitely not my favorite, and I enjoy it pretty much on a base level. If that makes sense, it's going to piss a lot of people off. I'm sorry, but that's where I stand with it.
you are probably like a lot of people. I mean, I mean that honestly. I think a lot of people respect and love the original,
Mhm.
but it's an quote unquote old movie. And I think if we have younger audiences watching the show, they probably feel the same way. I will say this is not my favorite Romero Dead film.
No,
Um, but dude, I love this movie. I've bought in it numerous times. This is the best thing about Night of the Living Dead, Brandon. This is that movie you throw on when you're doing stuff around the house, when you're moving around, you're cleaning stuff up. It is the perfect ambiance film. Like perfect ambiance film. I love the original. I think it's guerrilla filmmaking. It's low budget, but it's done
it
with
is.
like so much love. John Russo, who I am always going to champion, ladies and gentlemen. John Russo, the writer of Night of the Living Dead. George is a great director. George is my favorite director, but John Russo is always going to be somebody I champion all day long, every day. I'm going to talk about when we get to the remake of Night of the Living Dead. I'm going to talk about how that film got made, how insane it was when that film got made, and a lot of great stuff. But I'm looking at the chat. A lot of people seem to love Night of the Living Dead. I don't know that I've ever met anybody that dislikes this film. Um, there are things I like better about the original Night of the Living Dead than the remake, and there's things I like more about the remake. Um,
Mm.
but I just love this one, dude. I've bought this on Laserdisc. I bought it twice on Laserdisc. There's like 1,000 VHS tapes of this movie because obviously everybody knows now they did not copyright the film,
Mhm.
so everybody could put it out, which is kind of awesome when you think about it. But this Criterion release, if anybody doesn't own this film on a really good version, this is a 4K scan Blu-ray. And yes, I double dipped. I pre-ordered. I ordered the 4K of Night of the Living Dead tonight. I don't care if it's a barely bigger upgrade. fucking love Night of Living Dead. It's also one of the greatest horror movie posters ever. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Brandon, the original. Have you seen some of the foreign art for the original Night of Living Dead poster? Dude, there is such amazing artwork that was done for this movie in the release. It's just some just amazing pieces of art. I love the theatrical poster for the
Mhm.
original.
Yeah, it's iconic. I'm really curious to see what the 4K scan would look like of that movie. Actually, I might need to pick that up. Was that just released, or was that a couple years ago, or what?
This is the 4K digital restoration Blu-ray, which came out back in 2017.
Okay, so it's been out for a while.
But it looks
Okay.
stellar. And the 4K is probably going to be slightly better since this is already a 4K digital restoration. But I always want to have this movie in the absolute best way I can possibly watch it.
Mhm.
So I'm picking up that 4K. So without question. And I just love collecting stuff. But look at that. I mean, that Criterion art is just, they killed it. Like, this is how you release Night of the Living Dead, with class and
Oh, look at
respect.
that.
Look at that
That's
artwork.
awesome.
Isn't that
So
great?
that's awesome. So, Christian, I got a question for you regarding that film, and this may be blasphemous, but where do you stand on the colorized version of the original? Is it good or is it blasphemy?
This is where I'm a little liberal with that kind of thing. I'm totally fine with younger audiences wanting to see the film in color if it helps them appreciate it more. I just want people to love and appreciate the original. So I've watched the colorized version. I believe I have a VHS of the colorized version. I don't know that this release has the colorized version. I actually wouldn't mind if they threw it on here just to have it.
Mhm.
I don't care if people prefer to watch this as the colorized version, so be it. I'm happy for them. But if you want to see this film as authentic as possible, black and white, and honestly, I can't comment on the 4K release yet, but if you want to see this film look the way it's supposed to, as crisp as it's supposed to, this right here, this Criterion release. And you might actually be able to get this release a little bit cheaper now since you know that 4K just came out.
Right.
But Fight the Good Fight actually brings up something good. He says, I don't know why black and white has such a bad stigma. I think people of this generation or younger than us are not conditioned to it anymore. And it has this aura of just being old. And that means the movies can't be good. One of my favorite shots of all of horror, Brandon, is in Night of the Living Dead of all time. And it's been on posters. It might actually be on the vinyl. Let me see. I've actually got something cool I want to show you.
I'm ready.
Mid-Level Media says grab the Blu-ray and Barnes and Nobles, Brandon, from for the Criterion sale. It'll only be
Oh,
20
$20.
bucks. Listen, Brandon, I mean, it's the best release ever. Great spec.
Yeah, man.
Brandon, have you heard of Reflections of the Living Dead? And chat as well. Have you guys heard of Reflections of the Living Dead? Because there was a documentary for Night of the Living Dead that came out in 1993, and it is an amazing documentary because anybody was in it. Toby, George, John, the actors from the movie, Wes Craven, and Toby actually said the way he came up with the real reason Texas Chainsaw Massacre happened was seeing Night of the Living Dead in the drive-thru, and he said that on the documentary, he goes, that night I knew I need to make my Night of the Living Dead, and I need to be, and that was what really kickstarted him to say, I'm gonna make my version of that, not zombie film, but like I'm gonna make my groundbreaking film,
Yeah,
and that
his
would
stamp.
become so. I mean,
Yeah.
but check this out. Here's the vinyl soundtrack that I
Oh,
have
shit.
for Night of the Living Dead, which is
Wow.
really, really cool.
Is that a waxwork? Yeah.
I think it is.
See, it's not Mondo.
Yes,
Okay.
Waxworks Records.
Nice.
I bought this at FYE when I had one. But there's amazing artwork on these. No, it does not have that image I'm talking about. But they did a great job with this. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier, how I think this movie, the original, is also just a great movie to put on when you're cleaning the house and just for ambience. Same thing with the soundtrack. The soundtrack is like that old orchestral, creepy, just sound, but I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So I bought that a few years ago, and yeah, just fucking I love the original, man. I really do, but I don't, to me, it's a main eventer, so I don't watch it that often. Once a year, I'll see the original.
Right.
But here's a bonus, and then we'll kind of move on, Brandon. So I know you love, well, you have to because you post these kind of things on your YouTube channel all the time. And I was actually looking for my Return of Living Dead vinyls for 1 and 2, and I don't know where I put them. They're somewhere in this house. They may be in just a box somewhere locked up. But I found this, and I was like, Brandon and the audience are gonna love this. My Monster Mash vinyl.
Oh,
But look at that artwork.
wow.
Isn't that crazy? And on the back,
Is
it was a color like maze for kids. And when I bought this, some kid had already started coloring these colored pencils in. But it's the
that's
Monster
devastating.
Maze. How cool is that? Somebody
That's crazy.
somebody get rid of that sex bot. No sex bots tonight.
What is
Jamie,
going
get rid of the sex bot. How about this, Brian? But let's move to the remake since we're
Okay.
talking about Night of the Living Dead. You sound like you're a bigger fan of the remake. Can you describe what it is about the remake that works better for you, I guess?
I don't know. I think that it's so very much the same as the original, but it's not at the same time. I think Tony Todd's probably a big part of that, as cliche as that sounds. I'm not sure if I like Barbara from that version more than the original or not. I like that she was less whiny than the original version. I don't know. I just think it has a better pace. Obviously, the effects look better. Obviously,
Yeah.
I think it would have been cooler probably if it was released in like a legacy black and white than the color. But it was cool. Every time I watch the remake, I forget how many people are in that movie. Like Bill Moseley's cameo as the brother, and it's just I don't know. I just think it's more of an enjoyable experience. Maybe because I've seen the original so many times, and the remake didn't grow on me at first either. I remember seeing that a long time ago and being bored with that movie. You know what I mean? And it really grew on me over time. And then now I think I prefer to watch that over the original.
Yeah.
So
Let me grab this book because I want to show you this book I got. It's right here. I'll just be a second.
Sex Stars Tonight.
All right, guys. I hope Brandon didn't talk y'all's ear off. I have a feeling he didn't. All right, Brandon. So this book right here, it's called John Russo's Night of the Living Dead, 1990 Illustrated History. Chat, if you're into picture books that are the making of, you need this book. John Russo's Night of the Living Dead, 1990 Illustrated History. Do you want the real truth about this film? Actually, Brandon, you want to know the dirty crap that happened
Sure.
with this movie?
Yeah.
Bottom line is this. So John Russo and George Romero and the other producer, who was a great marketer, whose name is slipping me, but he's also a very much unsung hero. And I'm not doing any favors since I'm forgetting his name. Let's see. He's the original producer with the original. Son of a bitch. Somebody in the chat, help me out so I don't have to dig through the book so much. If Lauren was here, he'd be kicking my ass right now. No, nobody knows it. What am I thinking? Anyway, so let me just kind of simplify this. So around the late 80s, when John Russo saw that the Thing, the Fly, and the Blob remakes were successful, he said, we've got to get our remake out there for a couple of reasons. So we can actually make money on our property, because they didn't make any money off of Night of the Living Dead, if you can believe that. They got opportunity, naturally, but because they screwed up the copyright stuff, they didn't make a dime off of it. Russo they were eating, canned beans after that film. So when they decided they were going to do the remake, John Russo and George were going to collaborate on a script for the film. And they talked about what they wanted to do, and they really didn't agree. George said, if we're going to do a remake, just literally remake the film. Just literally remake it. John said, why don't we do a half and half? Why don't we do half of a remake and then the second half be like the next 12 hours from the original film and do something different? They didn't agree. And that was 88. A year goes by, and then George just wrote a script for Night of the Living Dead. And then Menahem Golan, those Canon guys, who by this point he had a new company called 21st Century Pictures, bought the script. So behind John's back, George wrote a script, sold it, then called John up and said, "Oh, hey, I wrote a script for Night of the Living Dead. I sold it. We're going to start making the movie next year." And if you can believe it, these guys were still Russ Streiner was the other producer. Russ was close with John Russo. I love George. I think George just played the movie business game as good as he did because he knew it was violent, and you either get along to go. You either play ball or you get your ass kicked. And I think George just did what he had to do, but he just kind of screwed Russ and John Russo. He just wrote a script and sold it. Didn't even tell them.
Yeah, that's kind of shitty.
Here's the best part. Here's the best part.
Uh-oh.
We all love Tom Savini.
Mm-hmm.
Love Tom Savini. Okay? I'm going to give the audience the truth here. I've done a lot of research on this film. George handpicked Tom to direct Night of the Living Dead. Now Tom, by that point, he'd only done a few things, Brandon. He did an episode of Tales from the Dark Side. But you're going to have, and look, we all love Tom, great special effects makeup artist, but think about this. You're going to have somebody who did great makeup effects guy, but did a short for a TV show, direct Night of the fucking Living Dead. I mean, seriously, think about that. John was not happy about that. He's like, what are we doing? This isn't the right guy. Tom is not the right guy. But George said, that's my friend. I want him to direct it. You know, he wanted to work on the original. And we all know that Tom Savini had to go to Vietnam when they started filming the original. Long story short, it was a horrendous shoot because it was the classic, I wanted to get A, B, C, D, E, F, G done in a day. But you've got young crew. Everybody's in a bad mood. We're trying to get this 6-week movie done in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it was. George, who was Tom's protege, goes off to do pre-production on The Dark Half. So Tom has talked about it. Tom has a book that I ordered. I wish I would have had it in time so I would have read it. It's called Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead 1990, The Version You Never Saw. Because, dude, do you know how much crazy gore effects got cut out of this movie?
I've heard a little bit about it, but I heard about that book, I think, too, and I've been wanting to pick that up.
Yeah. I mean, I ordered it. I wish I had it in time. But long story short, John, in this book, John talks about how once the movie was finished filming and they had all the stuff done in post-production, et cetera, the MPAA were vicious to Tom Savini. You got to cut this. You got to cut that. You got to cut this. Get rid of that. You can't show this bloody chest for this long. Tom was so fried as a director. I guess what? Guess how much stuff he directed after this, Brandon? Nothing.
I don't think he really did. Yeah, he did nothing. Nothing at all.
He went to acting. He did acting after this, which he says is his favorite thing to do, believe it or not. He ended up directing a Creepshow episode, and he might have done some other short stuff here or there. But this movie really broke Tom. And so when we look at this film and say, "Oh my God, this is great," Tom Savini directing, blah blah blah, it was actually it was a shit show behind the scenes. It was really bad.
Yeah.
But Tom was so frustrated that John Russo talked about when the film was done and the MPAA were coming back to Tom, and he was like, they were telling him, cut this, get rid of this. This whole thing has to go. Tom was just like, screw it. He told the editors, just get rid of it. Well, John was at 21st Century with a meeting with Menahem while all this was going on, trying to get the funding figured out. They were trying to pull the plug every 2 seconds on the film. And John talking to Tom after this. He's like, why didn't you fight for the film? Why didn't you fight the MPAA? Why didn't you try to keep stuff in? You got to work with these guys. If you just bow down to them, they'll walk all over you. And Tom said, I'm just burnt. I don't care. I'm done. And Tom has actually disavowed the film for a number of years. It hasn't been until recently that he's really said, I think this movie's actually not bad. And it's not bad. As a matter of fact, it has You want to know the truth, Brandon? I don't think this movie is way better than it truly had any right to be. I mean,
Mm,
seriously, I really think so. Um, the cast is good. I like both Barbaras. I
mhm.
love the original catatonic Barbara because that's very realistic to me.
Yeah.
But I also like the post-Alien Sigourney Weaver, Tomb Raider style kick-ass Barbara as well. I think they're both great, you know.
Yeah. There's some really bizarre zombies in the remake too. Like I remember the first time seeing that scene where I think she's still in the cemetery and she sees homeboy in the tuxedo walking towards her, and it seems like a regular dude. And then you see a backside shot of him, and it's his suit split up the back. You know how they put you in a coffin in real life.
Right.
I'm like, that's kind of some freaky imagery, man. So there's some good stuff to be had there. I think
Yeah.
definitely.
Here's some there's some images that John Russo had taken on set. There's Tom and the actress that plays Barbara right
What's
there.
her name again?
Ah, damn it. You know, she was a stunt woman, professional
Right.
stunt woman. But the thing I love about John Russo is despite all the stuff that happened, he always respected George. We'll talk more about what happened with the Living Dead name and why they split ways. Did you ever see this on YouTube or on TV? The 1990 Horror Movie Hall of Fame
No, I don't think
event?
so. That
Dude,
does
you've
not
got to
ring a
check that.
bell.
This is Russ Streiner and John Russo, where Night of the Living Dead got the award for like, you know, they got like a Grammy horror award for greatest horror film ever or something. And it was this big event where there was a Chucky doll there and Robert Englund
Oh,
was there, and it was a
I,
really cool event.
yeah, I've
It's
seen the
on
Chucky
YouTube.
excerpts. Yeah, for sure. He's wearing the white suit,
He's
right? The
wearing a
Chucky.
white suit.
Right, right.
Yeah. But you know, I like the remake a lot. I think Tony Todd is actually a damn good recasting.
Hmm.
Just a damn good recasting. The gentleman who played the uncle zombie, this guy,
Yes.
remember him?
Freaky zombie, man.
In the book, we learned that this guy had a horrible motorcycle accident like a few weeks before filming. Like
Really?
this guy almost died
Holy crap.
before,
Wow.
you know.
Speaking of that movie, and I guess spoilers, be warned, everybody in the chat, but who hasn't seen this movie by now, did you prefer the remake ending with Tony Todd turning into a zombie and getting shot, or did you prefer the original where he just kind of looks through the window and gets shot as an innocent man? Which did you think was more poignant?
I could give my answer for that, but
Yeah.
I'd love to hear the chat on that as well. Absolutely. I think they both fit their time period very well. So I like it in the remake, and it fits that movie, and I love the original ending too.
Yeah.
Now, if I had to pick one, I'd guess original.
Yeah.
But dude,
It's
the dead eyes that they give Tony at the end when you see him is actually pretty freaky. That's good stuff.
so we got two people preferring the original. 3, 4. Yeah, it is really depressing. Rock music forever, like that. When the innocent guy gets shot, that's just like it really draws in the hopelessness of that shit.
Yeah. Jamie prefers the OG rock music. I prefer the original. My Killer Podcast. I always saw the end where Tony comes out of the basement a zombie, but I didn't know there was an alternate ending. The ending for the original was depressing. I like both endings. I like the original. I prefer the original. I think we got some original fans in the house. But dude, let's put a bow on the remake. Great cast in this movie. Best guy is that mean son of a bitch. You punch yo-yos.
Yes.
This dude was fantastic. He was so unlikable.
Oh yeah. Isn't he the same dude who plays the guy with the fucking mouse in Green Mile? Is that the same actor?
It very well could be.
It's got to be him. That looks like him.
He's also the friend to Henry from Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, and he's also the cop in House of a Thousand Corpses that gets shot. He gets killed. He's the cop that gets killed by Mama Firefly.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Wydell.
Right, right.
And you gotta love Tom Savini's 90s McDonald's cup jacket.
Oh yeah.
I love I mean George, not Tom. George, who is your favorite director? Because like no bullshit, George really is my favorite director of all time. I love George.
Favorite horror director is Tom McLaughlin, just because of his association with Jason Lives, for sure. If you ask me who my favorite director was of all time, it might be a different answer, but Tom McLaughlin's probably my favorite horror director. As far as zombies go, it's got to be Romero, though.
Oh, Romero's the best. This just goes to show you that George was a tall dude. Because he's standing next to Tony, and I've met Tony, and Tony's a giant. So
it's so funny seeing fat, jolly George Romero in these 90s photos, man.
I love fat. I love to death Fat Jolly George, but I like old George with the big glasses. Yeah. That's why I wear glasses like this. This is in tribute to George, you know?
Right.
Man. But yeah, there we go, dude. There's a picture of that great poster.
Oh, it's fantastic.
You just can't beat that. Cannot beat that at all. But this is a great book, man. This is one more time, John Russo. Do I have green screen on? You see how my letters are disappearing? The John Russos. You can almost see.
Oh, is that not supposed to be gray?
No, it's supposed to be green. Let me see.
Oh, really? That's weird. I thought that was just gray. Oh, yeah, you did. Ha. I thought that was totally just gray lettering.
Oh, no, I have no background. Is that Lauren behind me? What did I do? Let me fix this.
This is fantastic.
Okay, there we go. Okay, now you see how it's green? That's what it's supposed to look like.
Awesome.
Jesse asked me, do I like Monkey Shines? Dude, that's a great George Romero film, Monkey Shines. I freaking love Monkey Shines. This is where we're moving to next, Brandon. I didn't grab all my movies. Let me grab this. Hang tight, chat.
Fat Pinhead as your background. Yeah, he should. Where is Fat Pinhead? We haven't heard him in the chat in a long time. Fat Pinhead or Dancing Nick or the Hobgoblin.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Now, I want to know from the chat if this is the greatest, and you're in the chat's opinion, and even Brandon's opinion, even though I think I already know. Chat, is this the greatest zombie film ever made? Dawn of the Dead.
No.
Check this out, Brandon. Dawn of the Dead.
Wow.
The complete cut.
That's awesome.
If you want to watch this, you better be ready to sit on your couch for a long time.
How long is it? Like 4 hours?
It's 156 minutes.
Okay.
So this is what the back. My friend Kyle, which I hope he watches this or is watching, made me this. Now, he does not sell his bootlegs. Actually, he does not like when I call it bootlegs. He finds it demeaning, which I have to agree because he does amazing work. Or he has a friend that's a professional that does amazing work. Mm-hmm. This is I forgot the term that we call these, but he's awesome. Let me read the back of this. This disc features the longest edit of the classic zombie film known as The Complete Cut, which combines all available film material and previously unreleased audio tracks by Goblin. Presented here for the first time in high-definition 1080p with the aspect ratio of 185:1 and a complete runtime of 156 minutes. This is most likely the nearest any fan is ever going to get to seeing Romero's initial edit of the film. This unauthorized Blu-ray release is a 1-to-1 copy of the out-of-print XT video Blu-ray. So, Brandon, are you aware that Dawn of the Dead is extremely hard to get on physical media now?
Yeah, it pisses me off. I have a bootleg from eBay that looks fantastic. I thought it was an official copy when I bought it. It was bootleg. And it looks great, but I want an official release. And that box that you had in your hand just now, is that the Region 2 box set that came out like 2 years ago?
Yeah, this is the sissy version, which we'll talk about. Kyle actually said he wants to get me the big version. But yes, I do have this in the turkey bag. Mel, if you're still here. This came in a Mel puts all our movies in these. Brandon, do you do this? Do you put your Blu-rays in these protective cases?
No, but I should. That looks fucking fantastic. That like scratches the OCD itch, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get some of those things.
Mel calls them turkey bags, so this came in a turkey bag. But this is actually the second sight release. This is actually the small version.
Right.
I didn't grab the big version, but this is the small version. Let's see what people are saying. It's close, but no, says Horror Business. I'm more of a day guy. Unfortunately, no. Day is better. Yes. No. You'll get fat pinhead after a while, I promise. Hang tight. Christian, have you ever made a short film or anything? I feel like you have, and I'm just not aware. Yes, Ryan. Very old videos on my channel that are kind of cringy but fun to watch if you don't mind watching some cringe. People are going to hate this, but I like the remake Dawn better. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
My uncle, yeah, go ahead.
No, please, go ahead.
I would say my uncle had he had the DVD back in the DVD days. He had the thick black fold out Dawn of the Dead box set with it was like a black cover. You had the face on the top of it and red lettering, and it had the zombie cut in there. And that was the first time I had seen it, and I fucking loved it. I think I might prefer it to the theatrical original version.
Oh, dude, yeah. So Tingles from ASMR. I love this girl's channel, Brandon. I'm like an ASMR guy because it always helps me go to sleep. I don't know if you know what that is. It's where the people do like whispering and finger tapping and stuff. Calms me down. I love it. Girl, you've got to pop your cherry and watch Dawn of the Dead. This is seriously watch the shortest version possible though. You should be able to find that easy. You have to watch this. This is the same year as the original Halloween. Brandon, is this better than Halloween? Can we just go for it, Brandon? It's a tie. It's a tie. Meet me halfway.
I will say this: Dawn of the Dead is an epic, but Halloween has the replayability way more than Dawn of the Dead, I think. Like Dawn of the Dead, you need some time in between each viewing session. I feel like Halloween, you could watch it every day if you wanted to.
But listen. But Brandon, Halloween is the night he came home. Okay,
it is. Yes,
Dawn
correct.
of the Dead is when there's no more room in hell. The dead will walk the earth. Are you kidding me? There's no comparison. No, but for real, this is the smaller version of the second sight, and mind you, this is how many versions of the films you get. Are you ready?
Excellent.
This is the small version.
Have you watched every version?
Yes. I really love Dawn. It's just not my favorite. Disc 1 is a theatrical cut. I'll tell you what my favorite cut is, Brandon. Disc 2 is the extended con cut, film festival cut. Disc 3 is the Argento cut, and that is, in fact, my favorite cut of the film.
Yes, absolutely.
It might be the shortest cut. And then disc 4 is special features. So you get 3 cuts of the film.
Right.
But if you're a sadist and you can't get enough Dawn of the Dead, you can watch the complete cut.
Yeah, that's pretty pristine, man.
But look at that art. Isn't that gorgeous?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good, man.
Kyle, thank you, man. We'll have to get Brandon hooked up with the complete cut of Dawn of the Dead. But yeah, this is a great release. I'll tell you what, if Kyle is able to hook me up, Brandon, with the super duper version of this, I will send you this for free. I will give this to you. That way you can own this properly. Now you'll just have to actually get your shit together and get a region-free player if you don't have it.
I know for real.
You'll save money, Brandon. I tell people all the time, you will legitimately think about it this way, Brandon. If you buy the player and you just get it over with, whenever you want to go grab something and you find out it's out of print, you can go overseas and pay a retail price for it instead of paying $80 for X, Y, or Z that's out of print in America. Take that savings, and eventually your player will save you a bunch of money in the long run. I mean, dude, I went region free to own Dawn of the Dead because we still haven't gotten a good release of this in America. And the dude who owns this movie has a stick up his ass about this movie. So I don't know what these people paid to actually get the rights to release this, but dude, it had to have cost a fortune. And that's why they made this as nice as they could. to get as much money. And I understand it. I really do understand it. Oh, what am I saying? Saturn Video. Saturn Video. You're right, but this isn't the 4K. This is Blu-ray. So Brandon would still have to be region free.
Is
But
there a 4K version out there now?
Second Sight released this as a 4K version in that big
Really?
box and this version.
No
But I got
shit.
the Blu-ray because it was cheaper, and I have
Right.
a region free Blu-ray player. But real quick, just a few words about Dawn. I just think you have to watch the right cut is the number one thing about the film. When you do watch the right cut, I think that Dawn of the Dead is a solid B+, A- film, which is for me the Argento cut, which is fascinating that Argento did a cut of that film. I don't know. I mean, where are you at with Dawn of the Dead? Do you have a special favorite cut of the film? Do you have any standout moments from the film? I mean, there's so many moments you could mention from Dawn, but my highlight is Ken Foray. Absolutely, I think that's
Yeah.
where he got his name, really.
Yeah, it's cliche, but I mean, he's the highlight of the film, man. And I think I really do prefer the Argento cut, zombie. When I saw that, when my uncle had that big box set, watching that cut blew my mind. I'm assuming it's the same cut as the zombie release. You know what I mean? The Argento cut. I think it's one of the same.
I
isn't
believe
it?
so. Did you have that? Do you have the release, or did you have that release?
I did not, unfortunately. He has it somewhere wherever he's living now, but it was a fantastic DVD set. But the fact that they cut out so much of the it's not filler they cut out, but like they cut out some of the more like comedic, cartoony stuff, and the score, the placement of the score and stuff, which is better. It just seems more. If I'm in the mood for a more serious Dawn of the Dead, I'll watch the Argento cut. But I really like the theatrical too. You know what I mean? Like I love that classic stuff. It's just I've enjoyed every cut I've seen so far. So
yeah. All right, people. So you probably are thinking we're gonna go to Day of the Dead, but we're not, Brandon. You know where we're going?
Where are we going?
Let me go grab it. I'm such a piece of shit. All right, Brandon.
All right.
We're about to talk about what, in my opinion, probably one of the greatest films ever made.
Oh, man.
So overseas, a movie called Dawn of the Dead did not exist. That movie was called Zombie.
Yep.
Now, a gentleman by the name of Lucio Fulci, and this is where I'm about to piss everybody off, decided to make an even better zombie film than Dawn of the Dead.
Agreed.
And that movie in America is known as Lucio Fulci's Zombie, aka Zombie 2, aka Zombie Flesh Eaters, aka the second greatest zombie film ever made. We'll get to the greatest, obviously. But Brandon, this is the film that reintroduced me to Italian cinema and made me a believer in how good it could be. This is the GOAT of Italian horror to me.
Above everything else, huh? I would have to probably agree, man. Zombie 2 is a fucking masterpiece on every level.
Dude.
Every level.
I mean, my wife argues with me all the time. Good arguments. She is a Dario person. I'm a Lucio person. This is what I love about Lucio, Brandon. Dario knows how to be visually stunning and have really good moments, and he's a master. Don't get me wrong. The thing I love about Lucio, he does not give a shit about reality. His movies take place in sentience with human beings, and they're awake and stuff, but all of a sudden a kid in the beyond all of a sudden looks in a room where his mom just drops down and a bucket of acid starts pouring on her face where the kid's watching it. Lucio is insane. Yes. Lucio put a man in the water with a shark. What are we talking about here? This is the greatest.
Yeah, his movies, especially Zombie, live in like this weird mucus membrane of a daydream. or I don't know how the hell you would describe it other than that. But it's like a weird sub reality going on in his films for sure.
But dude, I mean, what is your moment for this film? I mean, for me, it's cliche, but I truly love. I really love the opening scene of the film too, on the boat and
Oh, it's
everything.
fantastic. It's fantastic.
The zombie shark for me, my mouth hit the floor watching it because I was thinking to myself, I can't trust this film. I have no idea because this was my first Lucio film, and dude,
Ah,
I realized I can't follow where this guy's going. I can't. I don't know where to go with this guy. This movie reintroduced me to Italian horror. I don't know if I've told you the story, Brandon. I watched Suspiria in 2012. Fucking
mhm.
hated it. I wasn't ready. I mean, I
Yeah.
truly wasn't ready, and I think some people might have that problem. I did not go back to it. My wife was way cooler than me from the start. She loves that's her favorite horror movie, and I said, "Let me check out Zombie," and I was like, "No, this is it." I love my chat, but guys, I'm sorry, I will not hear it. This is better than Dawn of the Dead.
I would agree. I think a lot of people agree and they don't want to admit it because of the possible backlash. But Zombie 2 is by far better than Dawn of the Dead.
I think so. I really think it is. Actually, some people bringing up some good ones. Shit. Okay, let me grab this again.
For everybody in the chat, you guys have to agree with me. Zombie 2, Lucio Fulci's Zombie, is one of the few zombie films that makes you feel like you need to take a shower after you watch it. Because you just feel dirty, grimy, sweaty, greasy, disgusting after you watch Zombie.
All right. So we can certainly bring this up. We talked about the Beyond,
Mhm.
and I don't feel like grabbing that one, although I'm looking at it, but I'm just gonna leave it. Brandon, how do you feel about Lucio Fulci's City of the Living Dead?
I enjoy the hell out of that movie. I prefer the Gates of Hell title and the original poster design, but I've
I have a release somewhere where it's way better. It's the Gates of Hell.
right.
And it's got that. I need to get that. God damn it. I need to get the Gates of Hell poster in the horror room.
Yes, that poster is fantastic. But I'm always teetering, like, to this day. It's been 20 something years since I've seen that movie originally, and I'm still on the fence of whether or not I consider it a zombie flick. You know what I mean? Because they're like
It's a nightmare.
teleporting zombies. It's like a nightmare fever dream. It's not really a zombie flick per se,
We got to
but
mention it. We just have to. I mean,
absolutely, absolutely.
City of the Living Dead is it. This movie I had to really warm up to it too. I like a lot of zombie films, like a lot of Italian films. City of the Living Dead, I think, is one of the most creepy, atmospheric.
Mhm.
Just the scene alone, and don't worry, guys, we're gonna get back on track. We got to talk about Lucio for just a second. The scene of City of the Living Dead, Brandon, that truly haunts my dreams is when the guy is leaving the cemetery and he can hear the under the
Mhm.
ground, and he starts to question, "Am I?" What Lucio did so well was he had the actor be like, "No, I'm not hearing anything," and every time he takes a couple steps, he thinks, "Holy crap, am I actually hearing somebody?" And then he kind of creeps down, and they start to get to where he can get to the casket, and there's a hole in the casket, and he sees the eyeball in there, and it's somebody in there. Fucking terrifying. Could you imagine ever walking through I have a cemetery right outside my house. I live right by a cemetery.
Nice,
Could you ever
sweet.
imagine if I was jogging one night and I actually started to hear like some dude, it scares the shit out of me. Guys,
Yeah,
if you haven't checked this out, even though it's not exactly a zombie film, it also kind of is. It's a Lucio Fulci film, City of the Living Dead. Get the newer release. I don't know if it's still available. I have it somewhere, but because I don't alphabetize my movies because I'm a lazy piece of crap, I can't grab it. This one was
it's got a
accessible.
great vibe, man. It's got a great vibe.
All right. So let's check with the chat real quick. Let's see. I like City of Living Dead better, says Horror Business. City of Living Dead, I will absolutely accept as preferring that over Zombie. I don't know about you, Brandon, but I can 1,000 accept people saying Zombie's good, but City of Living Dead I prefer. I really can.
Mhm.
You know,
It's a well-crafted film. You can't deny the quality of it. You know what I mean? And
I love.
there are technically zombies in it, I guess. So
Yeah.
I will also accept that answer. So
Okay. And the last thing we got to talk about from Lucio. Oh, Cauldron Films is doing a 4K. Holy crap! Scratch
Oh wow.
Burno, message me on Instagram and give me some more details on the release date, or if they've given any more information. All right, Brandon. Last thing. I swear to God, we're getting back on track after this. Not a zombie film, but maybe you could stretch it to yourself and tell yourself it is. House by the
House by the
freaking
Cemetery.
dude. Tell me
Yep.
this isn't a masterpiece. Tell me it's not.
It's really fucking good, man. It's been so long since I've seen it. It's been so long since I've seen that
Dude,
fucking
look
movie.
at him. Look at Dr.
I know.
Feuerstein.
Yep.
Look at him.
Yep.
Dude, this guy, what's so great about Dr. Freudstein, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He is this nightmarish, almost faceless ghoul. Like if you look at him in the movie, he has like a head, but it's like he really doesn't have a face. It's almost just like this flesh with like blood holes.
Yeah.
Great character. This is you gotta see this. Just I know this is a zombie show, but just please, guys, hear me out. House by the Cemetery is one of the greatest of the Italian genre, period.
Extremely good from what I can remember about it. I need to watch it again.
Yeah,
That movie makes the top of a lot of people's lists, especially when it comes to Fulci. I'm really surprised. Like a lot of people say that's the best one.
I think I know why. I know why. It truly is. Those movies, like House and City, are so creepy. I mean, truly, from the start to the finish, even in the regular scenes of the film, when they're filming stuff with the kid and the mom in town, the whole movie, you just feel like something fucked up is about to happen. That's what makes those films so great. I mean, yeah, Trick or Treat. Have you seen that, Brandon? Trick or Treat Studios made a Dr. Freudstein bust.
I did see that. Yeah.
Dude.
They had a bust of him and the poster zombie from Zombie 2. I was going to get both and I didn't get either.
So. I hear you. I think they're kind of expensive, but I don't know. I don't know if
they're like $80 a piece and they're like 3 inches tall or something. It's
let's show the chat, Dr. Freudstein. Oh, here, Brandon. Actually, I've got an image that shows all of them. Let me save this and I'll pull it up on the stream. And guess what, guys? Guess what we're moving to after Zombie. I think we could skip Zombie 3 and 4.
But I do have to say Zombie 4 is really good. I just had to put that out there.
Okay, you know what? No, screw it. We are going to talk about it. I forgot you're a fan.
Zombie 4 especially, yeah. Not so much 3, but 4 for sure.
Matt says, I got to watch Zombie again. I usually agree with Christian, but I can't get into the whole jungle zombie stuff, but I'll give it another shot if I don't fall asleep. Matt, here, and I totally respect that, Matt. I'm actually glad you said that. Here's what I can tell you, Matt. You'd have to give me a little bit more info with yourself. You really have to ease into Italian. It really is like drinking beer. Okay. You really have to kind of get used to the taste, but eventually it's like a dear friend when you watch Italian. Now, Matt, the problem is there's nothing as boring Italian. So you really have to find those films. But Zombie, to me, truly is one of the greatest ever. Now, Matt, that'd be a film that you would have a blast if you and me watched it together. I would make it fun for you. But please give it a shot for me. I know Blue Underground put out a 4K of that, so definitely check that out. But here, let me actually add this photo so people can see it. Overlay. All right, here we go. Here it is, Brandon. Getting this uploaded so we can look at it. So this is the assorted zombie trick-or-treat busts that they put out.
Yes.
Let's see who we got here. Oh, dude. And look, I'll be honest with you. Dr. Freudstein's the coolest one out of all of those. Look at Freudstein.
Yeah, he looks really freaky.
Dude, he's terrifying. That's what I'm saying. Freudstein is terrifying.
The one in the middle is from Zombie Holocaust, right?
You know what? I think so. The one to the left or the right of it, that's Dawn of the Dead, right?
Yeah, and then the one on the right's the fat zombie from Zombie. You're right. The poster zombie on the left doesn't look very good in this photo.
It really doesn't. It could be a bad photo, but I'll tell you, man, if I was gonna get any of them, there's zero question which one I would get.
Yeah, the doc looks insane, man.
Freudstein.
He looks nuts. He's freaky looking, man.
He really is a nightmare. Now,
yeah,
he's not technically a zombie, but he also kind of is. So I'm actually,
And if I'm remembering correctly, he's taken pieces of people to like replenish himself, right?
Yeah, and
It's like the original fucking creeper almost when you think about it.
and do you remember in the house in House by the Cemetery when she pulls up the rug and it's a fucking actual cemetery under her
Right.
house? Dude,
Yes.
how fucking scared would that make? Like, to know that you were under bodies or on top of bodies. That would ruin me. Oh
Yeah,
my
man.
god.
I need to see this. I really need to see this movie again.
Please do.
Replenish my
Please
memory of
do.
it. I haven't seen it in so long.
And I want some just the thoughts on those. Okay, so the people are pissed off. We can't skip Zombie 3 and 4. You guys are right. You
Yeah.
guys are right.
It's
Zombie
important.
3. So Brandon, from what I remember, Zombie 3 started out being directed by Lucio, but he got very ill.
Right.
And Claudio
Right.
Fragasso took
Yes.
over.
I
Now,
think
for those
Fulci only shot like 15% of it, I think. You know what I mean? Like he didn't shoot much at all, I don't think.
Yeah. So I'll be honest with you guys. I have the Synapse releases of Zombie 3 and 4. Actually, I think I have them right here. I think I can grab them. Just hang tight, Brandon. Just say something to the people. Actually, I think I can keep my headphones on too.
Something.
No, this is actually not going to happen.
Pardon my very blue gym shorts, everybody.
Unfortunately. All right, so unfortunately, I had to redo my. What do you got there? Oh, you've got the.
Yeah. Ah, there we go.
I got you
Camera's
solo
off.
layout.
Pardon this light.
All right.
Yeah.
So we've got to talk about Zombie 4. Because Zombie 3 is a good film. I don't have any issues with Zombie 3. It doesn't even get close to scale in the heights of Zombie.
No, not at all.
Zombie, which they skipped it calling Zombie 2 in America just to avoid confusion.
Mhm.
So it was just Zombie 2. Zombie 3 is a good film, good moments in it, but overall slightly, I hate to say forgettable, but you'd have to really get yourself familiar with Zombie 3.
Mhm.
Zombie 4 is just batshit crazy.
Zombie 4 is batshit, and it has such a good atmosphere. It really has. It feels akin to the atmosphere of the Return of Swamp Thing to me, and I love that fucking movie.
Jim Wynorski.
Yeah, Zombie 4 has a similar vibe. Obviously, this release has Zombie Flesh Eaters 3, so it's even more confusing the further you go into it. But Zombie 4 is good, man. Yeah, Zombie 4 is fantastic.
Good question here.
I haven't opened these yet.
Do you like them in the turkey wrap still? Do you be honest? Do you just think does it sound nice when you rub that turkey wrap on those?
It feels like, it feels like a good Christmas package or something. I don't know what it is about it.
So look at you, Brandon. You've already got some Region B Blu-rays.
Oh yeah, well, apparently these play in region free, don't they? That's what the reviews said, that they're actually region free, even though they say region B, they'll play on region free.
Who is that?
Region?
88 Films?
Yes, 88 Films. Which I think you recommended that to me actually.
88 Films are great.
I couldn't believe the price tag on this thing. I'm like, this is so cheap.
Exactly.
For this
That's
quality,
why I'm
man.
telling you, Brandon.
I know.
88 Films can build up. You can build up a killer collection just having 88 Films titles.
I got this too the same day. Zombie Creeping Flesh, Zombie Flesh Eaters, Night of the Zombies.
That's Hell of a Living Dead, right?
Yes.
Now that movie,
I fucking love that movie.
Okay.
AKA Virus.
Okay, let's get into that real quick, and then we're gonna get to the mainstays after that. But real quick, Zombie 4. I think the best thing about Zombie 4, and you would agree, is obviously that theme, the living after death.
Yes.
Living after death. How good is that song, dude?
It's so good. It's so good. I still think you need to do did you do a cover of that?
No, I need to cover it. I need to cover it.
That would be fucking baller. Yeah, Zombie 4, aka After Death. The zombies are those sentient, like Pet Cemetery style zombies, but it's fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah. So Claudio Fragasso, the Troll 2 director, directed Zombie 4, ladies and gentlemen, and his movies are worth seeing. I mean, you just have to see anything Claudio has done. So definitely check out Zombie 4. I'd actually recommend you checking out Zombie 4 over Zombie 3, to be honest with you.
Agreed.
Not much need for continuity. To say that Zombie 4 lives in its own world is an understatement. It's truly just a dirty, grimy, batshit film.
Because it was just after death. You know what I mean? They just changed it to Zombie 4 over here, I think.
They did.
Yeah, so After
They
Death is
did.
such a stronger title too, man. So
Yeah. Living after death. Dun, dun, dun. I love
that's
that
gonna be in
song.
my head all night. Yeah, it's so good. It's too good.
I do have to cover that. Okay. Really quick, Brandon. A few words on Hell of the Living Dead. Go right ahead. Because it sounds like you're a bigger fan of it than me.
It's such a trashy zombie flick. There's a lot of stock footage in here of like gazelles running through the plains and like just footage of animals that makes no fucking sense in the context of the film. But there's some really creepy scenes, like Christian, the scene where I think she's going into a chapel, and there's a dude sitting in the chair with his back facing her, and she presses her hand on his shoulder, and he turns around with that fucked up face. That's a really freaky ass scene, man.
Moments, certainly moments in
Certain
that movie.
moments, yeah, and like it's just I don't know, man. There's something about that movie that just charms you, I think. And like the real footage of the actual like mummified remains in the village, that stuff's really creepy and like it doesn't match the footage cut in, but it's I don't know, man. It's something really charming about that movie. Charming and dirty and filthy at the same time.
I would agree. All right. Scratch is asking us to comment on Zombie 5 Killing Birds.
Killing Birds
is fucking horrible.
Why is there a mummy in that movie?
It's fucking trash.
I kind of enjoy it on its own merit, but like not a zombie. Why did they even bother making that Zombie 5?
You know what I love about it? The poster art is stellar. And the funny thing is Piz bought the Blu-ray of it and reviewed it, and he basically said it was the worst thing he's ever seen. And what do? I immediately go on Amazon and buy the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And I figured, fuck it, I may as well have all the zombie films on Blu-ray. But that's my review of Zombie 5 Scratch. All right. So let's just get right into it. I'm not going to bore the audience with the story too much. I will just say this. After George and John really had different ideas of what they wanted to do, John wrote a novel called Return of the Living Dead. George had the rights to continue making his own films, and Return of the Living Dead was turned into a screenplay. Tom Fox bought it, a producer that was basically a banker that wanted to get into the movie business.
Right.
Dan O'Bannon was eventually brought into the project, who wrote Alien. Dan did not like John's script. Dan had his own vision for the movie, and we got the greatest zombie film ever made to this very day. And I feel strongly about that. I know it's my favorite film, guys, but I mean, I really think pound for pound, entertainment-wise, you really can't beat Return of the Living Dead. I just don't think you can. And I want to show my very first time I ever bought this film, the classic MGM DVD that the internet actually did like change.orgs to make happen. And Dan O'Bannon actually got involved to help make this DVD happen at the time. The greatest film. I mean, where do we start, Brandon? Like, where do we start with this film?
I don't even know. It's such it's one of my top 3 favorite. I have 3 favorite zombie films, and they're all the same level for me. Zombie 2, this movie, and Day of the Dead 85. But Return of the Living Dead is the most accessible, fun ride of a zombie movie in existence, I think, because once it starts, it doesn't stop. It's full of great characters, great moments. I mean, it's so riddled with content that it's almost amazing they fit so much stuff within that small runtime, because it is a relatively short film.
It's perfect, though. I mean, you want to know what's so great about, and here's the 4K, ladies and gentlemen, which is the best release ever.
I need it. I need it. Fuck.
There's one thing, though, that I ended up finding this out after the fact. There's one song that they couldn't license that's not in the film. I forgot the name of it. But I have the vinyl. Again, I have the vinyl somewhere around my house. I don't know where it's at, but I have it. But other than that, the thing that's great about this is the 2.0 original mono audio, where you get the more brains, the higher pitched Tarman.
Yep.
Which is amazing. And I agree. I think that's actually creepier, because
I would always freaky looking, man.
I always feel like if you're dead, your voice would kind of pitch up higher. I've always thought that for some weird reason. It just feels right to me.
Yeah. Everybody disagrees with us, by the way. because I made that video on the voice thing, and I'd say 99% of the comments are like, I prefer the deep voice, which is fine, but I was really surprised by that reaction.
I get it. I get it. I just, to
Yeah.
me, it fits the look of the character. It fits the tone of the film. But guys, really, if you haven't picked up the 4K, I do really hope you do. It's about as good as a release as you can get. I only wish that this came out in a hard box, to be honest with you. This is what's so great about this film. Literally, the opening scene is so good. I never want it to end when I'm watching it. From James Cameron and Tom Matthews' stuff in the beginning, it's so hysterical the way James Cameron is like this bubbly, nice guy who wants to help him, but he talks to him like a kid or like it's his own son. He's like, now PT stands for what? Perfect teeth. And he goes, now that's an F for female. No, that's an M for male and an F for female. Female, good work. You're gonna do fine in the warehouse. Like, I love his cadence so much. I'm so sad that James Cameron isn't with us anymore.
Yes,
And
R.I.P.
we just lost Clue about a couple months ago, who lived well into his 90s. I mean, god damn it, he went all the way, and you gotta respect that.
Great place to land, man.
Yeah. But and then with Bert coming in, and his opening line is basically like, whatever you do, don't name it after me. And it's like, you love these two guys so much right then and there.
You wish you knew them. Yeah.
And exactly. And then just the Unita, obviously I fell in love with that, where I named my candle company Unita and my podcast Unita, and I love all of it. And just the army stuff, the story of James Cameron talking to Tom Matthews about the barrel and how they got it. I'm always at the edge of my seat. The way he tells the story, I'm literally just like he's always got my attention.
Yeah. That movie's intense, man. That's an intense fucking story, man. Like, that whole movie, as funny and fun as it is, there is a scary, crazy intensity about that movie that has not been matched even close.
And how about that poster art, man?
It's probably the best poster.
You know, it's crazy. It's like, sometimes I never notice it, but like on the art, and I have the poster back there. It's very faint, but like there are like shadow zombie heads in the background, and you can really see it on this slipcover. But I have multiple versions of this poster. You can't really see it too well, but our background of this video, as you can see behind Brandon, is the Return of the Living Dead 2 poster with the nose on the zombie. And then I have the UK art, I believe, which is all great. They all have great posters. The Return of the Living Dead had so many good posters, but the cast, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't know how you get much better. My favorite character of the film, hands down, 1000%, is Don Kelfa as Ernie Kaltenbrunner. I mean, when we visit him in the morgue, I fell in love with him. I just love his cadence. He's the best. The way he's just like, oh, let me at least take him in the back. I'll shoot him and put him out of their misery. Like, everything he says, I agree with in that movie. Literally everything he does and says, I completely agree with him.
Yeah.
He's just the best. You know, I don't know where else to go. I really don't. The half corpse. Jesus Christ. I don't.
We could spend 4 hours just talking about this one movie, if we're being honest. But
What
as far as favorite characters go, I think Suicide's probably my favorite one. As much of an asshole as he is.
But he's great.
He's fantastic. He was in the movie way too short a time, but yeah, fantastic.
He's so good. I almost wish he would have lived and we could have got rid of other people. Yeah, rabid weasels. Oh God. See, the problem is, guys, I don't want to go too long-winded about this, because I know I'd go on forever, and I think Brandon probably feels the same.
Killer fucking soundtrack. Both the contemporary score, or the contemporary soundtrack, and the score is fantastic.
Yeah, the Francis Haynes stuff. The
one of the creepiest graveyards in horror history. You know what I mean? That graveyard's massive. I know it's a set, but it's fantastic. It's gothic. It's claustrophobic. I don't know, man. That movie is that movie's not even a movie. It's like a whole fucking culture. It's like the Lost Boys. Yes.
Yes.
It's like its own thing.
Return of the Living Dead is 1000% a lifestyle. Yeah. It truly is. I mean, dude, I've got I don't know. Let's just stop for now. I mean, look, guys, get the 4K. It's about as good as a release as you can possibly have for this film. More Brains is a stellar documentary. Now listen, chat. I need somebody to admit that they're not a big. This should be no problem. Actually, no, I don't want nobody to admit to nothing. Tonight, Brandon, me and you are gonna make somebody a fan. Listen, Brandon, we
Where
have
are
a
we going?
job tonight. Me and you have got to make somebody a fan of Return of the Living Dead Part 2. Where do we go? How do we convert somebody? How do we do this? How about this? Let me give you the complaints from the audience that I think they'll say as they're coming in.
Okay.
It's not really a sequel. It's like a redo movie.
Right.
It's way too goofy. And Tarman doesn't look as good.
But he's still fucking freaky in that movie.
He is. I actually like the Tarman makeup in Part 2.
He's scarier in the first movie, but Part 2 feels more like a Tarman you can't get away from. If that makes any sense. Like there's something more like scarier about the being in the same room as that motherfucker than the first one to me.
You know what does it for me with this film? It's Jesse. I fucking love this kid. I usually am not big into movies with kid actors. I'm not saying he's like Daniel Harris from Part 4. Good. But I think he got it.
He did.
And I think Wiederhorn knew what he was doing. Here's something. Okay, so Brandon, here's something that the audience may not know. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
People think that this was just a blatant ripoff of the first movie. What happened was Ken Wiederhorn did not want to become a horror director per se, but that's where he got opportunities. He did this really great movie called Shockwaves. If you haven't seen that, guys,
yes,
fucking awesome movie. Probably should have talked about Shockwaves.
Yeah, there was technically a zombie movie, right? Technically,
there's small recommendation. You got the 2 thumbs up from us.
Shockwaves.
He wrote a script called Gravediggers, which was going to be a zombie comedy film. Ken Wiederhorn came into Tom Fox's front view, and he was aware of Ken, looked at the script that Ken had done, and Tom Fox was like, hey, why don't we turn this into a Return of the Living Dead film? And Ken said, I need a job. That's fine. So Ken didn't just blatantly say, I'm going to rip off the first movie. That's not what happened. Now, does it play out like that? In a sense, I guess you could say so. But I think Part 2 is a roller coaster ride. Mm-hmm. I love the cast. I love the bully kid.
Mm-hmm.
I love Suzanne Snyder in this. Are you kidding me? That red hair she had.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love her. I'm actually going to get to meet her next year. I'm so excited. She's going to finish off my Return of the Living Dead 2 autographs.
That's awesome.
Hell
yeah.
The soundtrack is almost as good. Now listen, people, listen. Hear me out. Joe Lamont, Flesh to Flesh, is about as good as an 80s anthem can get. Okay? Anthrax is on here. Julian Cope, Space Opera. This movie gave me my love for Julian Cope. He's now my top 5 artists of all time. I mean, that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
The zombie effects makeup. Now, Brandon, you got to tell people how good Kenny Myers was on the zombie effects looks in this film.
They're fantastic. Different kind of zombies in the first movie, but equally, what's the word I'm looking for here? Diverse. I don't know, man. There's the makeup on these zombies in this movie is so good.
So good.
Fantastic. Like there's some really freaky, like it's way more a comedy than the first movie, but the zombies in this movie do look fucking freaky.
They're so good.
Even the masks in the background that are just masks look scary. Like these zombies they're comedic, but these zombies are not messing around either.
Ryan actually brings up a good point. He says ROTLD 2 is great just for the sets and location. The underdeveloped neighborhood always struck a chord with me.
Yes.
That actually was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they were filming in like this new development,
which is
funny because Sydney's parents are actually building a house right now, and it's literally in that kind of area where it's like brand new development where there's clay dirt around a lot of the houses, and I
Mhm.
get the same exact vibe.
That's awesome.
And the
That's
mausoleum stuff is sick too. I
that's a
love
whole
that.
that's a great set. Is that a set, that's that graveyard and that mausoleum, or is it a real place?
I'd have to imagine that was a real mausoleum, at
Yeah,
least from the
that's
outside.
fantastically gothic. As far
Oh,
as the neighborhood setting is concerned, I think that's why I say part 2 reminds me a lot of, the Zombies Ate My Neighbor game. It's the
great
same
game.
kind of vibe, same kind of tone, and it's a big neighborhood. Even though the game came after, it's sort of the same thing.
Yes! We got a purchase.
Conversion 1.
But yeah, here's the Return of the Living Dead 2 Blu-ray from Scream
Too good.
Factory. But listen, guys, don't skimp out on getting the DVD. Now I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, still pick up the DVD
Here we go.
because there's a different soundtrack on this. Let's see. What's up, Dan? How you doing? Mariana says this is her favorite zombie film. Mariana, that's awesome. When is the 4K coming out? I mean, God knows I'd like it.
For real.
Yes! Yes, we got another one. What's up, Michael? Michael's a great guy. Michael is a composer. He's done soundtracks for the Jaws, The Shark Is Still Working documentary and stuff like that.
Nice.
Michael's an awesome guy. He's also
Cool.
got a channel too, guys. Check him out. Great friend. Michael, this is one of my favorites. This will transport you back to being a kid. All right, so Brandon, tell people about the Return of the Living Dead 2 DVD and your thoughts on the soundtrack. I if memory serves, you're actually not a really big fan of this version.
I am not. I grew up with the VHS version of the film, which had the original score. Fantastic score, by the way.
Fantastic artwork too. Look at that fucking tornado.
Oh
Anyway.
yeah. When I bought the DVD, when did that come out? Like 2005 or something? 2006. It wasn't too early. I think it was later.
The DVD.
Well, whenever it came out. Yeah, the DVD. 2003, 4, 5, 4. Okay, so I think I got it when it first came out because I remember it being new. And I remember going home being super excited to watch it, man.
Okay, you're already a big fan of the film at that
point. Oh yeah. And I remember being so deflated with that new score. It sounded like a really, really simple MIDI tracks laid over to me at the time, just compared to the original one I grew up with.
Right.
So when the Blu-ray came out and I heard the score, reinstated, I was like, dude, yes, this is the version I've been waiting for. Right. So, but again, the DVD score, which I know you think is probably the first original score, is good too in its own way. I'm just more used to and prefer the original score.
So, and let's give a little bit of context. Now, I've read the book, The Complete History of Return of the Living Dead. They still don't answer the question about this DVD. This is what I think happened, but I can only guess. You, the audience, can be the judge of it by watching the DVD. There's rumor that they either redid the score for the DVD, but in my opinion, it sounds like old recorded music. Now, what happened was they recorded a score for Return of the Living Dead, the very first score from a composer. Ken did not like it. He said on the Blu-ray interview, though, he did say, we put the film together. The music I didn't feel worked. I talked to somebody at Lorimar, and then they gave me a new composer. And then we got the score that was released with the film, which is back on this Blu-ray. In my opinion, I think what happened was when Warner Brothers put out this DVD, I think what happened was they accidentally put out a print of the movie with the score that was scrapped back in the day. I can't picture them. And here's the thing. There's always the talk about a lawsuit with the soundtrack. They interviewed the composer that actually had his score on the release of the film back in the day. He never once mentioned anything about a lawsuit in the interview. He just didn't even mention it. So I think personally what happened was when they were putting this film out on DVD, somebody at Warner Brothers grabbed a print that had the score that Wiederhorn didn't want to use. And that's what we got. And quite frankly, I'm glad because now you have reason to keep your DVD because it's got different music on it. I like them both. This was the first way I saw this film. So in a lot of ways, this is my score.
Yeah.
It kind of, this is my score because this is how I fell in love with this film. But the trioxin theme for Return of the Living Dead 2, the one that was supposed to be used, that was released, is bumping. And I actually re-recorded my own version for the intro of my videos now too. So the theme can't be beat. It bumps like a son of a bitch. So I don't know. And the Michael Jackson zombie, I think, is the one of the greatest moments in a zombie film, period. And I'm not joking. I think it's amazing. I mean, you have to love it too.
Oh yeah, I think everybody does, right? Whether they want to admit it or not.
I can't get over it. So guys, this is what I recommend doing. Okay. Grab the Blu-ray of Return of the Living Dead 2. I'd love to have this get a 4K, but I can't hold my breath on that. But grab the Blu-ray, go to your used DVD shops, go to used shops, and get the DVD, and you be the judge and see which version you like better. And the interesting thing is, my buddy Steak Sauce actually said, "Hey Christian, on this DVD, swap the audio to French, and it's got the original script. It's got the soundtrack that's supposed to be used on there," which makes me believe even more that what we hear on the DVD is in fact the original score that was scrapped. To me, that actually goes with what I think happened more, because if there was a lawsuit, it wouldn't be on there at all. So that's just my guess. But again, I can't prove any of that. So let's move on. So yes, we've got some people who have purchased it tonight, Brandon. Please follow up with us on Return of the Living Dead 2. You got to love that artwork. Can't
That's
beat
awesome.
that. All right, Brandon, let's move on.
All right.
To 1985. I was going to grab my Blu-ray for it, but my movies are a mess. Do you want me to start this off and just get the chat riled up? Actually, I think a lot of them are going to agree with this.
Yes.
You know what? You say it, Brandon. Just say it.
Okay.
1985. Just, you know what I'm talking about.
1985's Day of the Dead is the best of the George Romero Living Dead films. It is the best, by and large, by far.
Dude, I felt that way the first time I watched Day of the Dead. And
Absolutely.
I went into that film, at the time, nobody I knew, this was 2011, 2010. At the time, nobody I knew said it was the best one. I think people have truly gone back over the last decade. There are some OGs that love the film from the start. Don't get me wrong. But my era of people, I'm 30 people for clarity. My era of people have said, dude, Day of the Dead really is that damn good. And that soundtrack is fucking amazing. Fantastic. Because it's that synth, but it's like almost like this, the world is ending, but we have to deal with it, and just, you know, like the Day of the Dead theme, that dun, 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 dun. It's like the world is ending, but it's like we've accepted it. That's the way the music sounds. So it doesn't sound like, oh my God, get ready to die. It's like, hey, you're in apocalyptica, deal with it and carry on and make the best with what you've got. That's the way that music sounds to me. I don't know if you feel that way or if you just hear good music, but that's the way it sounds to me. I mean, how do you feel about the score?
Some of it feels that way to me. First of all, the score is fucking fantastic. I said this to you earlier in a private message, but it's one of, if not the best horror original score in existence.
Dude.
A lot of the music sounds that way to me. Some of the tracks do sound like all hope is lost, and they're so depressing and dark. Some of them, not all of them. But then you get to that ending track where, you know, they're on the beach and things are looking up, and like it's got that Caribbean flair, as George Romero says in one of the you know, behind the scenes documentaries about the soundtrack. It's just such a well-rounded soundtrack, original score, man. You can't beat it.
You can't.
It fits so well. Like, the score was any different, the fucking movie, I think, would not be anywhere near the juggernaut that it is.
No, and I'm so glad that George went that route and wanted a different soundtrack. Thank you, Gabe K. Obler, for the 99-cent super sticker. I truly appreciate it. Gabe, let us know your favorite zombie film. Dude, the chat has spoken. It looks like they agree. Look at this. Day of the Dead is badass. First Gorilla
Certified hood
album,
classic.
yeah. First Gorilla album samples Day soundtrack. I love the Gorillas. The soundtrack reminds me of a Carpenter score. Agreed. Day is the best soundtrack, effects, story. All of it rules.
Yep.
Saturn Video says, I always think night is the best, but over time, I really think day is better than dawn. I agree with that. Agreed. A certified hood class.
That's the best line right there.
John Costent says, come on, Christmas. Well, John, we got Halloween to look forward to, so don't wish away the rest of the year so fast. I honestly agree. Day of the Dead is the best one. It has the best characters in the story to me, in my opinion. Story is the best. I totally agree with that.
Best villain too. I mean, come on.
Here Ryan does say he thinks Day is the worst. Ryan, I would be interested to know what your favorite is. Scratch Burno agrees. Agreed. Justin Smith. Wow. So we've got some love for Day of the Dead in here. I mean, the only thing I've seen people kind of make fun of is that shot of the main girl where she's by the wall and she does the. But I just see it as like this dramatic visual, and it's supposed to be a little over the top. People were like, "Why wouldn't she just get away from the wall?" I know, I get it, but the visual of it played.
I love
great.
that shot.
It played great in the trailer.
Yeah,
you know,
it looks great, man. That's an iconic shot too. Every horror movie montage you see has that fucking shot in there. So it's made an impression, I think, on horror. That shot, at least.
Yeah. I wish I could find it. Unfortunately, I had work, and then I had to get a move on. So I wanted to be more prepared for this. But I have this Anchor Bay DVD as well as the Blu-ray and the Laserdisc of Day of the Dead, where the DVD has a cardboard fold out for Anchor Bay. Day of the Dead put out. I see those McDonald's pails. I'm gonna try to get the rest tomorrow. Yeah, you see it? Go grab it. Go grab it.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys. We got cable channel 11. Dead Red Recliner says my favorite zombie movie is the original Night of the Living Dead. I love that you love that, dude. Amen. Cable channel 11 says Day of the Dead is badass, but Dawn just hit me one night and I was hooked. Totally respect it. Love Richard Liberty as Dr. Frankenstein so much. Oh yes, perfect. Hold on. All right, there you go.
Ready? So here's
yours is in great condition.
Yeah.
Doctor,
look how crazy Richard Liberty looks there, man.
Oh, dude. Oh my God. What is that? Is that the card?
It's a little booklet thing that comes with it.
Dude, I don't think mine had that.
But what I love about this the best is these zombies behind the discs. These are such great shots. Like, look at that.
God, look at that.
Dude, these zombies in Day of the Dead, as hokey as some people think they are, they freak me out, man.
Dude, they're the best. They're the best. I mean, they really are the best. The effects work. They had such a good villain in the movie with that general, the army guy. He was
Pilato killed it, man. He was crazy.
So good. I'm so bad with the names from these movies, but he was stellar. I mean, Jesus. Man, I just love Day of the Dead. I bought no, I don't need to grab it, but I did buy Day of the Dead with the slipcover DVD from Scream Factory when it came out because I wasn't on board with Blu-ray yet. I eventually did pick up Day of the Dead on Blu-ray, but I think I speak for everybody when I say it's absolutely criminal that it hasn't gotten a 4K yet. I mean, if any of the Dead movies needs a 4K, imagine getting that crisp native 4K image of the zombie with the no mouth out in the in the bright sunlight, and then you get the Day of the Dead credit over the top. Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? We need that movie on 4K yesterday.
Agreed.
Mr. Is that supposed to be Mr. Nintendo or Mr. Nintendo? Yeah, Nintendo. Yep. Okay. Hey guys, I love Day of the Dead. To me, the scene is okay because it's a dream sequence, not an actual scene happening. Great way to look at it. I think it's just a great visual.
Also, RIP to Joe Pilato, Captain Rhodes. He passed away like a year or two ago.
That's terrible. We're just losing everybody.
I know, it sucks, man. We're just so far removed from these movies. I think they seem more recent than they actually are, I think, because of social media and everything's coming back. So
to the 100 people in here, please drop a like if you don't mind. We're talking the best zombies films ever. Now, Brandon, here's the thing. The greatest zombie ever in my opinion, is Tar Man. The second greatest zombie ever is Bub. Are you there?
From a pop culture standpoint, I would say yes. Absolutely.
I just love the character of Bub. Like he
Mhm.
was he was thinking,
Yeah.
and you really didn't dislike him. You kind of rooted for him a little bit.
Mhm.
I love Bub, but also Dr. Tongue as a visual
So freaky.
is the best.
Yeah.
You know,
But yeah, I think Bub. I wonder who actually is more well known, Bub or Tarman. It's got to be Tarman at this point, right? Like if people see it and they're like, "Oh, that's that movie." It's got to
that's a
be
good,
Tarman, right?
that's a good question. I think Tarman is number one. Which, by the way, I bought this years ago. I believe this was Raging Zombie Effects, my Tarman bust,
That's too good.
isn't it? Yeah. And I'm cheapo. My mask stands are paper towel
Hey,
rolls.
that works, man. A
Yeah.
mannequin head would dry that out and make it rot. So that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. But there it is, guys. Um Brandon, I've got to watch Day of the Dead. It's quite honestly been too long.
It's fucking so good. I wish there was like a 4-hour cut of that movie, honestly, because it's
I wa-
always it's over too quick.
I know. Thank
Yeah.
you, Dead Recliner, with the $1 super chat. I truly appreciate that. Um, Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Dead Recliner. I don't recall saying you before, Dead Recliner. Let me know if you've been watching my channel for a while, or if you're new. You probably have been for at least a little while. But if you're new, man, I'm glad to have you. I just can't remember if your name's familiar or not. But thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. Bub was on Walking Dead. I wouldn't be surprised if Bub did have a small moment on Walking Dead.
So was Dr. Tongue. He was on
Yeah.
there a little bit in a way.
All right, Brandon. Let's go for a few more movies with the
Mhm.
audience. I think they've got the strength. Can we go to something new? And you may not have seen this,
Mhm.
but if not, I'll keep it brief. This movie is fucking insanely good. I think it's actually one of the best zombie films of the last decade, probably 20 years. Train to Busan.
I have not seen it, but I've heard nothing but good things about it, man. I
Yeah,
have not seen it though.
it's actually truly one of the best in the last 20 years. Um, I mean it. I went into this as pessimistic as you could possibly be because I was like, nothing is gonna touch the pantheon of what my zombie genre is that I love. This actually did it. I actually highly recommend you check out Train to Busan. It's actually a really good story. It's about a father trying to reconnect with his daughter, and he has to protect her in, I can't remember if it was Japan or China. I want to say it was China. And it's zombies on a train. But dude, the immense danger in this film will have you biting your nails the entire time. I mean, it is so fucking good. I'm serious. Train to Busan is probably one of the best of the 21st century. Because I'm
Mm.
trying to think of what I can compare it to, and quite frankly, everything I've brought up in my head, it's better. I mean, seriously, it's just damn good. So check that out. How about this, Brandon? Let's go back to George for a second. Is this film ever going to get its second wave, or do you think it deserves to be pretty low on the list for everybody? I mean, honestly,
I
Korean.
I'm
Thank
not
you.
I'm not a fan
How many times
of
have you
Lamb.
tried it?
I saw it in '05 when it came out. I own that Blu-ray and stuff. I bought it with every intention of watching it again, and it's still in its plastic sleeve after like 2 years
Damn it,
since I
Brandon.
bought it. I know. I don't know, man. I watched it on DVD a bunch when it first came out. I tried watching it again last like 10 years ago. I something about it. There's something missing. It feels too big yet too small at the same time.
I
Um,
actually think it's aged okay. I watched it when I bought this, and I had the DVD when it came out, or not when it came out. The Hand on the Fence
mhm,
DVD. Um, and I would give it like a 5 out of 10. I think it's okay. But I despised it the first time I saw it. I actually think it's okay to me now, but I don't think I would actually recommend people buying this, to be honest with you. I would say just check it out.
mm.
Um, but I don't think it's the worst thing I've ever seen. But
It's not the worst for sure.
it's just very uninspired, and I feel like George really needed to try to take a break at that point with the zombie stuff. I mean, because let's just get right into it. Okay, I see it. Let me actually grab it. Now, this is the one where I was for sure, Brandon, no bullshit. I didn't watch this movie till a couple years ago. I avoided it. I passionately avoided it. This is the movie that has no business being this good.
Mhm.
Zero. Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead.
It's a masterpiece.
Are you ready for this? I really hate to say this.
It's better than the 78 version.
Is that okay to say?
I say it all the time. That's my belief.
I put it as a tie with the Argento cut.
Okay.
But if you make me watch any other cut of Dawn of the Dead, in essence the longer cuts, I'd go with the remake. There's one thing about the remake I would get rid of. I used to like it, but I really think now if you would have reeled this back, I'd actually have zero complaints with this movie. The baby. I used to think it was
Agreed.
funny.
That
takes it over the top.
Over the top. I would take the baby thing away, and also the fucking CGI helicopter distracts me so hardcore when I watch it now. There's the only two things I would change.
You want to know what makes this film work for me? And actually, the people are getting pissed off. I think some people are actually. Let's see. Clay says, "Boo." Listen. I totally understand. I love the original. Do not get me wrong. But I mean, the fact that I've said Day, I prefer. I'll be honest with you. If I was ranking, and now Brandon's probably not going to agree with me on this. If I was ranking the Romero trio, despite the fact that they still have Survival of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, which we won't really get into those too much. For me, guys, it's Day, Night, Dawn. I mean, I really know that's kind of shitty to some people. I think Day is a masterpiece. I think Night is a genuine classic, and I think Dawn is awesome. It's just, I don't know. I think people love Dawn. What can I say? But all right, let's just see what people are saying. Justin Smith agrees, loves the remake. Joe Jack loves the remake. It's Zack Snyder's best film. Now that I wholeheartedly agree with, and I'm going to say this, Brandon. Army of the Dead just makes me want to go back and rewatch his Dawn of the Dead. It does not make me a fan of. I am not a fan of Army of the Dead.
I turned Army of the Dead off after like 35 minutes. I was like, okay, I don't want to watch this anymore. This is fucking stupid.
It just didn't do it for me. Jess Graham says Dawn remake is great, but no, I just pissed off Jess Graham. The remake Dawn Mall was filmed near me. Unfortunately, they tore that mall down. I wanted to go film it years before they tore it down. That's a shame. The remake.
I saw this movie 3 times in theaters when it came out in 2004. The first time I saw this was the midnight showing when they still did midnight showings. Okay. It was a packed theater I was 17 at the time. It was packed theater of kids my age. And I have never seen, not really since that experience, a theater so invigorated by a horror film collectively. That movie was so fucking intense.
Yeah.
In theaters, you know, I know 28 Days Later came out before this and kind of like reminded everybody about running zombies and what that kind of genre could be. But this movie was legitimately frightening. And I remember the second time I saw it, I took my uncle to go see it. And he had actually seen the original on screen when he was a kid.
God bless him.
He loved it, right?
God bless him.
He fucking loved the remake. And he was a diehard fan of the original. He saw it in theaters. And he's still like, this is a great fucking remake. It wasn't above it for him, but he vouched for this movie. So,
dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Wow. For somebody was asking about Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead 90. When this episode's done, go back. We covered that, and I tried to talk about, without getting rambling too much, I tried to talk about some of the stuff that happened with the making of that. So yeah, Dawn of the Dead remake, big fan. Ben Grimm says love the remake. One of my favorite zombie flicks. What I like about the OG Dawn is the 70s atmosphere and just seeing all the stores in the mall that I used to see as a kid. Oh yeah, I mean, but the funny thing about that now, Fight the Good Fight now, is the Dawn remake is kind of far enough away from our time now that watching that movie, you kind of see like that retro atmosphere of the malls back then too. That was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Also, we need to talk about how scary the third act zombies were in the remake, man. Those zombies were fucking terrifying. Like the one on the fucking side of the car, when they show the close up of its face and it's like shaking its head and there's like jowls and spit coming off its face. That shit is ridiculously frightening, man.
Yeah.
So,
Jess Graham says the original Romero trilogy is fantastic, while Dawn is my favorite. All three are acceptable in any order ranking. I think that's actually fair, to be honest with you. Now, Brandon, let's comment on these for a second, and then we'll look at the chat and see which ones they want us to comment on. Are you ready?
Ready.
Are you sure you're ready?
I'm trying.
This is a masterpiece. Are you ready?
Go ahead. Oh man, I haven't seen it still.
Children of the Living Dead.
I still haven't seen that fucking movie.
Did you see my review? Did you see my review on this?
I watched it. Yeah, I watched it.
Listen, chat. Listen to me. You have to see this movie to believe it. Children of the Living Dead is one of the worst films I've ever seen. But here's the thing about Children of the Living Dead, Brandon. Tom Savini is a fucking badass in the beginning of it. He's gunning down zombies, jumping over the hoods of cars, and then he dies instantly. But you have to see this movie to believe it. The killer of this movie, like the lead zombie, has a funny name. I forget his name. If somebody can remember it. But guys, listen, if you can get your hands on True Living Dead, you have to see it to believe it. It's one of the worst pieces of shit ever. But that's like a compliment in today's horror. Like if you're the worst film ever, that's like the biggest badge of honor. You're selling more copies of your movie than a cult classic if you can say that you have the worst movie ever made. Check out Children of the Living Dead. Yes, the cover art is even trash, but you have to see it. Go check out my review, guys, of Children of the Living Dead. All right, Brandon, are you ready for another certified hood classic?
Oh, yeah. Hopefully it's something in my pile here.
I don't think you've seen this one either, but you've at least heard of it. Chat, are you guys ready for another certified hood classic? And I'm actually reviewing this movie soon.
Oh, that's fucking trash. It's fucking trash.
No, Brandon, hold on. You ready for this?
I wonder if I still have that on DVD.
Glasses, 3D glasses in the shrink wrap.
Yep.
Night of the Living Dead 3D, starring the late, great Sid Haig. Now, I need that as a 27x40 for the horror room. This is a certified hood classic. This movie's trash, dude. I can't wait to review it. I'm going to do a video on this. I'm going to call it the other Night of the Living Dead remake.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like trash. It sounds like trash, but it's got Sid Haig in it. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter. If Jesus Christ would have come back for the second coming in this film, it wouldn't have done anything. That's how shitty it is. But it's not so bad it's good. Like, honestly, Brandon, if I was going to recommend one of these, I'm going Children. Because Children, you have to see it to believe it. It's so bad, it's hysterical. Night is just trash.
Absolute trash.
All right, 2 more certified hood classics. Necropolis, baby. Didn't you rewatch these?
I did recently. I also bought the DVDs again. Or I finally bought the DVDs of those. They're still shrink wrapped.
Shit, hold on.
Uh-oh. Oh shit.
Let me show you some hood classics on Blu-ray.
All right, I'll be right back too. 1 second.
Dude, my desk is just full of movies, guys. It's a train wreck over here, but I'm doing this because I love y'all. All right, Brandon.
Couldn't find it.
So check this out. Kyle, if you're listening to this or if you watched it after the fact, thank you again, Kyle, for always being such a great supporter of my channel. Now, Brandon, I'm gonna be honest with you. My favorite videos, my two favorite videos I've ever done on Planet CHH. I mean, I'm talking my favorite of all time was the making of Return of the Living Dead Necropolis and Rave to the Grave. Because when I read that book, I was fascinated about the story, and I had a blast making those videos. And I was so happy that those videos did good on my channel and people enjoyed them, which really makes me want to do the Night of the Living Dead 3D and try to find out what happened with that movie, what happened with the budget, blah, blah, blah. Kyle saw those videos and he got these made for me. Blu-ray versions of Necropolis and Rave to the Grave.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'll be honest, you said you watched both of these, right?
Yeah.
Tell me Rave to the Grave is not the better of the two.
Oh, it absolutely is. It for sure is. When I watched these in 2005, when they aired on Sci-Fi Channel back to back, their premiere, Rave to the Grave was already a better movie at the time.
No, Garrett. Now, Brandon, would you recommend that people actually go out of their way to check these out?
If you had asked me 15 years ago, I would have said, fuck no. 10 years ago, fuck no. 5 years ago, no. Now I would say it's probably safe to give them a chance.
But it's important, and this is why I made those videos, for people to understand the context. This was not supposed to happen this way.
Mm-hmm.
These movies were supposed to be, this was supposed to be one big budget film,
right,
that William Butler wrote. It got bought by this rinky-dink company that gave a budget for a low-budget movie and made them film 2 films.
Mm-hmm.
But Rave to the Grave is like sleazy, fun. I love the fact that there's an actual tar man in the film.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Necropolis is actually a really good idea. It's just low budget. But, dude, I love the idea of making the zombie army in that factory and the mom. Here's the dad. Remember the dad's the zombie with the machine guns.
Yep.
Like, dude, imagine this movie with a budget. I mean, seriously, and good acting. There was something here. I mean, I really think so.
Mm-hmm.
But they were just so cheap.
Yep.
But this movie, if you love sleazy trash, I think you'll actually like Return of the Living Dead, Rave to the Grave. I really do. So these are turkey wrap too. I mean, they look so good. I love these. Really these are prized possessions of mine. Thank you again, Kyle. But Brandon, holy shit. Before we get to your stack, last thing we got to talk about for my stack. Good God, I've got movies everywhere.
There's so many good honorable mentions. That's the problem.
Okay, Brandon, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, guys. First, let's show you the Japanese Return of the Living Dead Laserdisc.
Fucking hardcore.
The gorgeous Return of the Living Dead 2 Laserdisc. All right, now, Brandon, you ready to talk about this film? I can't believe I haven't brought it up yet.
Oh, yeah.
The amazing Return of the Living Dead 3.
So good.
I mean, dude. Here's the thing about Return of the Living Dead 3. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean this half serious. Return of the Living Dead 3 is not a zombie film. It's a Reanimator film. Think about it, Brandon. Hold on, think about it. It's a zombie film. It is a zombie film. What do they do in Reanimator when the girlfriends die and Bride of Frankenstein and Bride of Reanimator? What they do whenever somebody dies? What the whole point of Reanimator was trying to get a fresh body to reanimate because they think that would rejuvenate them. That's what the boyfriend's doing in Return of the Living Dead 3. Instead of putting trioxin in her to zombify her, you could have easily made this a Reanimator film. I mean, it's the same avenue. That's why I love it. And the connection of Brian Usna directing Return of the Living Dead 3, who produced Reanimator with Charlie Band, and I believe even directed Bride of Reanimator, which Bride's my favorite Reanimator. Mm-hmm. That's what makes Return of the Living Dead 3 so great, is it feels different. And that not only the romance aspect, but the zombie aspect. It's not an outbreak like 1 and 2. It's truly trying to bring this broad back to life, but, you know, she can't. She's never gonna be the same, you know?
Yeah. And on another note, it's probably really, it's actually a really sad movie, especially once you get to the point where they're like, okay, like this is never going to work. We just need to self-immolate in this fucking furnace, man. Like there's some really, deep stuff in that movie, surprisingly.
Dude, yeah. I love it. I
It's a
mean,
masterpiece. It really is. It's an unsung masterpiece.
it's so good. I really do love it. This Blu-ray, by the way, guys, if you haven't picked it up, there's actually fantastic special features on here. They got Melinda, they got Brian Usna, they got John Penny, the writer. Such great special features on here. It's remarkable how good the special features are on Return of the Living Dead 3's Blu-ray. So good. Great soundtrack. Brian Usna is such a great director. I mean, he really just, you could tell he's the kind of director that has great atmosphere on his sets, and it makes everybody just like want to be in it to win it, because it's clear that everybody in this film was just like down. I even like the Tarman zombie because it's like this weird looking thing, and then it cracks open.
Yeah.
You know, I love the Tarman zombie.
Yeah, he was killer. And the Riverman zombie was off the chain too.
With the long, the spinal neck. Oh, here it is. Check it out. So this is one of the best scenes of the film, right? The zombie that the old man that they inject the trioxin in that room, that white padded room, and he comes back and kills the ballistics technicians. Let me see if I can get this up close. There's the Tarman zombie right there, which looks fucking great. There's another zombie, and then of course Melinda, Mindy Clark. Look at her. Good God, man. She owned that role. I mean, this movie should have sucked horribly, but the fact that she was so dedicated to doing this movie is like she did. I mean, because this movie's lower budget, it's humble, but this was done so well by her. I mean, this is her movie. I mean, J. Trevor Edmond, the boyfriend, he's good. Don't get me wrong. He could have been replaced. I'm just being honest. He was good. You could have had somebody else be in this movie, but Melinda made this movie. She was unreplaceable in my opinion.
Yeah.
But here's where we piss off the audience, Brandon.
I'm ready.
Between the two, pick the better one.
Part 2.
You damn right. Now look, Brandon, here's the truth. The audience, generally speaking, prefers part 3 to part 2. There's only a few people I've ever met that agree to me that part 2 is better than 3. You and my buddy Steak Sauce. But for the most part, most people, I would say 95% of the people I have talked to have all said, oh, part 3. I even know some people that's their favorite is part 3. But most people, 90 to 95, say, oh, no, part 3 is better than part 2. And I can't get there because I think part 2 still has a better soundtrack. The zombies are insane. The pace of that film is so fun. But the beauty is it's really a perfect trilogy. You really get every flavor of ice cream in those 3 films.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because part 1, as funny as part 1 was, it was straight up intense horror. It really was an intense fucking horror movie. Part 2 was a really comedic horror film, and then part 3 was a really serious, grounded is the wrong word, but a really serious love story zombie film. So yeah, you really do get all kinds of flavors in this trilogy.
Wow, I'm actually it's funny, in my chat now, people are telling me 2 is better. But guys, I'm not trying to be controversial and just say that. I'm telling you, most of the people I've ever talked to say they like 3 more than 2. But I'm actually really glad to see people give part 2 its due diligence, you know? Look at that. I prefer 3, but it's not much higher than 2. I'll take that Saturn video. Matt says part 2 is better. 3 is kind of downer and not as fun to revisit.
Yeah, 3 is so good, but it's depressing at the end, man. It really is.
It is, but the visuals at the third act of the film are sensational.
Fantastic.
Just sensational. All right, Brandon, We've been going for 2 hours. I don't want to keep the audience. The audience is stuck with us. We're still got 95 people here. But Brandon, please, let's talk about a few more films. What do you have left for us?
I got some honorable mentions here. I have The Dead Hate the Living.
Full Moon Features.
Yes, really obscure, weird zombie flick. I don't remember a thing about it. Just wanted to mention it here because I really need to revisit it and possibly review it.
It's low budget trash, but it's good.
Right. I saw this in the 90s, I think, and I loved it. Redneck Zombies.
Dude, fuck, that's Trauma, right?
Yes. And I haven't watched it since. I own it, but I haven't watched it on DVD.
I watched the trailer of that, and I need to go ahead and just pick it up. It's always at Second and Charles. If I'm going there tomorrow, if I see it, I'm grabbing it.
Yeah, I remember having so much fun with it. It looks so bad. It feels like the worst shot movie ever, but it's so good.
Thank you, Dead Recliner. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Nightmare City.
Ooh, Nightmare City's classic.
It's a really weird fucking movie, but I had to mention it here. I'm not even sure if they're really zombies in this movie per se. They're more like just mutants, I guess, but whatever. We didn't talk about Dead Alive. Called classic.
Fuck is wrong with me?
Right. We didn't talk about Cemetery Man. So good. Probably the weirdest zombie movie in existence.
You know, that really is one of the best Italian movies ever made.
Oh, it's fantastic. It is fantastic. And there was a movie that came out, I think in 2007. It was from the Dimension Extreme line, which had some good stuff, but had a lot of crap too. This movie, when it came out, I bought it from Walmart, and I was so surprised that I liked it. The frames per second look terrible. It looks jerky. It makes no sense. The acting is atrocious.
I'm in.
But it's called Automaton Transfusion, and I actually really liked this fucking movie.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it ends on a cliffhanger. No spoilers, but we're never going to get a fucking sequel to it because Dimension Extreme 2007. And I have this. This is not a zombie film, but I had to bring it up just because we were talking about Fulci. Is this version of The Beyond on DVD?
Seven Doors of Death?
Yeah.
That's nice.
And also, I like to give a shout out to The Video Dead. And The Dead Next. Yes, and The Dead Next Door, which we also didn't talk about.
How good is The Video Dead? Check this out, Brandon. Check this out. Hold on. I'm gonna find it.
Take the Ring. You said Is Dead Snow a zombie film? You know what? I haven't seen any of those movies, but I heard they're fantastic. For everybody in the what? For everybody in the chat, does Frankenstein's Army count as a zombie film? Because they're reanimated corpses, right? So they're technically zombies. So is that a zombie film or not? It's a fucking fantastic found footage movie. But is it a zombie film?
No.
Dead Recliner says yes.
I can't find it.
We looking for Video Dead?
Oh, dude, I've got the Scream Factory release of Video Dead and Terror Vision.
Oh, I have that somewhere.
If you flip the art for it, it's got killer Video Dead art on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
I don't know where I put it though.
Mine's up there somewhere too, buried underneath all the Halloween shit.
People want us to talk about Shaun of the Dead, and the reason I haven't brought up Shaun of the Dead is because I don't think they're gonna like what I have to say.
Me neither.
So you're not really a big. I don't hate it. I'm just not a massive.
I don't hate it. I'll never seek it out to watch it.
I'll tell you what's really gonna piss off the chat. Given the choice between Shaun of the Dead or Zombieland, I'd take Zombieland. And there's a very simple answer as to why. If I'm going to watch a zombie comedy, I'd much rather listen to Van Halen than Queen.
If I'm given the choice between Shaun of the Dead, and these aren't zombie movies, but Hot Fuzz or World's End, you know that
Hot Fuzz is a masterpiece. Now,
I'm going with World's End.
Dude, I like World's End too. To me, Hot Fuzz is legitimately one of the funniest films I've ever seen. I love Hot Fuzz. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't hate Shaun of the Dead. I really don't.
I don't either.
It's a funny
just
film. There are scenes that are good. Let me just talk about another zombie film that I'm not a big fan of. Not a big 28 Days Later fan, although the soundtrack is great. I do like 28 Weeks Later, though.
much better film.
28 Days Later looks like it was shot on an Atari 2600.
It does. You know, we and Shanna, we watched that like a couple weeks ago on streaming, and I was like, is this a really bad upload, or is this how the quality has always looked?
It's like you're
I
watching a
guess,
bootleg.
right. This looks really bad.
You know?
I never noticed that before until we rewatched it.
You know, I thought about bringing this up, but I didn't. But now I just feel like since we're here, I may as well just mention it. They're not zombie films, but they play out very much like them. The Demons films. Obviously, they're turning into. And actually, let me just show it. I actually see this. I swear to God, guys. I'm not gonna bullshit for too long.
Demons 2 is better than part 1. If you agree with me in the chat, say yes.
I found that video dead, by the way.
Awesome.
This time I went to the movie shelf. It was staring me right in the face. So let me show the video dead. So if you buy the video dead and TerraVision Blu-ray and you flip the art, you'll get this amazing video dead art, which I can get that poster on that website I use. I've thought about it, but you can get some really cool video dead art. This movie is awesome. I love the video dead. And there's the TerraVision art on the back, which I love TerraVision as well.
Yeah.
And they look pretty good. And it also comes with the DVD. I don't know if this is in print still. It very well could be out of print. I think you're right, Spy the Bearded Guy. So technically it's not zombies, but Synapse did put out this amazing set of Demons 1 and 2.
Wow, look at that.
This is the Blu-ray version. You can get the 4K version. The reason I have the Blu-ray version is because the 4K version was very expensive at the time. And my mom was getting me like a birthday present or a Christmas present. I forgot what it was. And I didn't want to make her spend $70 for the 4K versions. The Blu-ray versions was like half the price on Amazon at the time. They're still 4K scan uploads. I mean, they're still 4K scan Blu-ray, so they look fantastic. But I mean, how do you beat that artwork? I mean, that's pretty insane. Big
That's
fan
fantastic.
of Demons 1 and 2, and we may as well just mention it because they play out the same way. If you get bit, you turn into a demon, but you turn into a whatchamacallit, like the way you would turn into a zombie. But what's really cool is if you take the artwork for Demons 1 and 2 and you reverse it, you'll get split art for the first two movies. And I gotta say, Brandon, I'm hoping you're like me. I am actually a very big proponent for Demons 2.
Yes. It's a much better film for me.
Demons 1 is absolutely stunning. Great film. What I love about Demons 2 is it really embraces the absurdity.
Yeah, it's way more fun. It's way more fun than the first one for me.
And the baby. This is where the baby demon actually works, in my opinion. Like we were talking earlier about the baby and Dawn of the Dead being too much, but in this movie, I actually think it elevates the film. To me, it's actually makes it more fun. And the soundtracks on these movies are stellar. But Demons to me is a masterpiece. To me, they both are. I really love them. I actually think if you're going to get into the Italian genre, Demons is actually the absolute perfect place to start. And this set from Synapse is truly about as good as you can get, or check out Arrow. But yeah, got to mention these just for the hell of it. They're not zombie films, but they play out the same way. But check both of those movies out. If you like absurdity and a little bit more campiness, but still action packed, Demons 2's for you. But if you want a straight ahead, more dark, almost Evil Dead-ish, like Evil Dead 1-ish movie, go for the first Demons. Both great films. Brandon, do you want to talk really quick about and chat? If you guys have anything else you want us to mention, please let us know. But Brandon, do you want to talk about Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things? Are you going to be picking up the 4K for that movie?
I am. Is that out yet? Did I already miss the fucking release date?
I don't think so. I would have seen somebody review it by now.
That movie, I think, that movie deserves a much bigger cult following than it has. I don't think it's really amassed one yet.
It hasn't found its audience yet.
Yeah, it's sort of starting to grow a little bit. Like more people know about it. Like when I first found that on VHS in the mid to late 90s, I found it in Blockbuster or something. took it home and watched it, and I was an instant fan. It really freaked me out too the first time I saw it. Like the zombies, as simple as their makeup is, I made a video about this. They have
It's
some of the freakiest zombies in zombie movie history for me.
it's creepy.
Yeah. Like the soundtrack is fucking really spooky. The island setting, although Zombie 2 had an island setting too, this one feels like a really small island. Like in the intercoastal waters here in Florida, we have those kind of little small islands. And it feels like that. You know, the one street light, the small graveyard, the abandoned house. That movie is just so underrated in every way. Everybody in the chat, I encourage you, I implore you, check out Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. It is fantastic.
Let's just show this with the chat. Let me share my screen. So it looks like Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things is going to be hitting 4K on November 22nd.
Nice.
It'd be nice to see Brandon pick up a nice little 4K action there.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be picking it up.
Are you a fan, Christian, of that movie?
I am. I think it's very atmospheric.
It is. It really is.
So I am a fan. I watched it on accident. I was looking for something else, and I watched it on Tubi probably like a year ago, and I didn't mean to click on it.
Mm.
I forgot what I was planning on watching, but I clicked on that movie instead, and I like it. So I think I'm a fan of it. I think it's very atmospheric and creepy. So I actually would recommend people checking it out.
Agreed. And that movie to me is ripe and applicable for a good remake. Dawn of the Dead 04 style. Something
agree.
really intense, but atmospheric. You know what I mean? Something that walks the line in both. I think that would be a great fucking movie to remake.
We'll take 2 questions from the audience. What about animal zombie flicks like Zombievers, Black Sheep, and Zombies? Funny story. Black Sheep is my dad's favorite horror film, alongside Thanksgiving. That's the Black Sheep is literally like zombie mutant sheep out in like somewhere in Europe, if I recall. I think it was Dimension Extreme too.
It was.
But
yeah.
We bought it. We rented it from Blockbuster. So this regular family, this nuclear regular family in North Louisiana in the Bible Belt went to a Blockbuster one night, and my father decided we needed to rent Black Sheep from Dimension Extreme on DVD, and he loved it. The tagline on the front cover is hysterical. I believe it's like there are 1,000 sheep in Ireland, and they're all pissed. Let me see if I can find the artwork. Dude, look at the artwork. All right, let's see. All right, let me share this real quick. This is hysterical. Yeah, there are 40 million sheep in New Zealand, and they're pissed off. Tell me that's not the greatest tagline you've ever heard.
It's too good.
That's hysterical.
Looks like there's a Blu-ray release, huh? That's weird. Is it the same fucking movie? It is.
Dude.
Wow. That's surprising.
Hell yeah. Dude, Dimension Extreme at one point ruled the world for horror. It was great.
They did. They really did. Yeah, Christian, you got to check out Automaton Transfusion if you get a chance. Like, rip it offline or something, but it's worth checking out. It is the weirdest fucking zombie flick I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I want to see it now. I do want to see that movie.
Mm.
Well, Brandon, I think that's going to be... Oh, Brandon! Last one.
Oh, yeah. Damn, we didn't talk about this fucking movie. That's a whole 4-hour discussion in itself.
Take it away, dude. Give us your thoughts on... I'll let you do it. Like, I'll comment on the peripheral stuff. Tell me that's not some of the best artwork you've ever
really
seen.
is, man.
Burial
That's
Ground
a vivid VHS memory too, right there.
This one's creepy to me. It's just nasty and creepy.
There's a really creepy element to that movie. The mansion setting's fantastic. I'm gonna flub this up, guys. The movie deserves way more credit than I'm trying to illustrate to you here. But the score is fantastic. There's a lot of jazzy elements to the score that are just great. It feels gritty. It feels dark. The mansion setting's fantastic. The zombies, as cheesy as they look so frightening in this movie.
They're gritty looking.
Yeah, and they're smart and they use weapons and they break down. That's just, I don't want to give away too much, but it's If you're a zombie fan, Burial Ground is a movie you have to see.
Yeah, I mean, really.
You have to see it.
I'm a big fan of the zombie genre, and the reason I wanted to do this show is I worry that, and again, we have an intelligent audience, so I'm not necessarily talking about any of the people in the chat tonight because a lot of these people have seen these films, but I have younger people that watch the channel, and I think you just really have to find those movies, because if you watch one that you're not a fan of, you're gonna just dismiss it. But I actually think the zombie genre is sensational, especially in the Italian markets and the overseas, like Train to Busan, like I talked about. There's so many great films, and the best zombie genre films, the zombies are not the main attraction. It's the story, or it's the atmosphere of the film, like Lucio Fulci does, or like Burial Ground, or it's the music, like Return of the Living Dead's, which Return of the Living Dead, everything about it's perfect, but specifically like Part 2 and other ones that are good because the makeup effects are so good. It's just there's so many great ones, and I would hate to see some of my younger viewers pass these films by. So that's why I wanted to do this episode tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed. And Michael McCormick said, Brandon, have you seen Death Dream? I have, a long time ago. I didn't realize it was the same director as Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, Bob Clark. That's pretty cool, though.
Bob Clark, man.
Death Dream. I should rewatch that. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. But Kristen, to your point, and I'll bring this up once and I'll let it go because I'm not a huge fan of the show anymore at all. The Walking Dead, your thoughts? Do you think it's kind of poisoned the zombie genre as far as like oversaturation and kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Generalization of the zombie genre? Because I feel like everybody now, their reference point is just Walking Dead, and it kind of like it's kind of killed it a little bit for me.
Certainly for the better part of the 2000s. I think it died down enough, despite the fact I think the show is still going. But it died down enough to where it's there left to the core fans, and the zombie era in pop culture is gotten away from it a little bit. I still think that there is a kick-ass zombie film that could be made in America for American audiences today. Army of the Dead was not it. That was not it. I think Zack Snyder made his great zombie film, and he's not going to be the one to do it next time. I don't know who it's going to be, but I think somebody's going to do it. You've just got to innovate and captivate and you've got to do new things with it. I mean, you can't redo A Night of the Living Dead again, but I think another one is going to come. But to answer your question, do I think Walking Dead did put a stint on things for all? I do. I think it got so big that it got so big that was just all there was, and I think it completely burnt people out and made cinemas and movie people. I don't know. I'm trying to recollect over the last decade. Like, I'm thinking back to like 2011 and 12 and 13 when it was literally everywhere and you couldn't get away from it.
Yeah, it was a monster.
It was insane, man. The irony is, I actually on Netflix went back a few days ago. What's up, Cody? Nice to see you. I went back a few days ago or a few weeks ago, and I started watching the first season of Walking Dead. And I gotta be honest with you, I wasn't hating it. The first season had a lot of legendary horror character actors in it. And I used to hear complaints like, "Oh, all Walking Dead is just zombies are secondary, and it's just drama." And despite the fact that I never watched the show, I don't think that's a negative thing. I actually think if the zombies are just the main thing for your show, that's where you're going to get burnt out. You have to have compelling story, and you have to. You have to have Day of the Dead elements for sure. Where
Day of the Dead, the zombies are secondary,
and it's all about the humans losing trust in each other.
Dawn of the Dead, everything is Return of the Living Dead. Even the zombies are secondary, so that shouldn't be a negative. But you're right. The show, I think, oversaturation was the biggest problem.
Yeah, and it kept going. God bless them. And Greg Nicotero and a lot of great horror people were involved. So it was not done by frauds. It was done by legends of the business. but I think probably they should have capped it off after the 6th or 7th season and going out strong and going out on top. I think now they're probably a little bit of a joke, like, oh, dude, they're still going. The best shows ended when people wanted more.
Right.
Like I know this isn't horror, but Family Ties, one of my favorite sitcom shows of all time, ended when at its popularity it was at its highest. They went out on top, and I just respect that. Going out with dignity is something that not a lot of people want to do, especially in that industry because it's money on the table. But you know what, man? Maybe one day I'll continue. I stopped watching the show a little bit, but maybe one day I'll pick back up with season 1. But I got to be honest with you, I was actually enjoying what I was seeing. But
I enjoyed it for a long time, but I just kind of gave up on it. It was too much to keep up with, and I know the show is going to end next month permanently. So probably when it's over, I'll probably go back and catch up in the last season or so. But
when they make a box set that literally an 18-wheeler is going to have to back up to my house to, I may pick it. Hey, do you remember some of those wicked ass box sets that came out for Walking Dead where it was like this like box with like these zombie heads and like water jars or something? And
yeah,
I kind of regret not grabbing some of those because they just looked fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember for like 2 or 3 years straight at Halloween Horror Nights, they had Walking Dead houses, which is fine. But the whole fucking theme park was just the Walking Dead theme song everywhere you walked the whole night for like 2 or 3 years straight because they were capitalizing on that initial popularity. And that really helped bring me to a saturation point with the show.
Yeah.
Like, it's just too much.
All right. Well, here's how we're going to end tonight's show. First of all, for all the people that hung out and gladly talk zombie films with us, it means a lot to me because I love this so much. Glad to have Brandon with me, of course.
Glad to be here.
Top 5 zombie films of all time. Chat, let us know. We have not talked about My Boyfriend's Back, Cody. I'll be honest with you. I have not seen it. I know that's Adam Marcus's movie that Sean Cunningham sold and got made. I need to get that Blu-ray that came out. Have you seen that, Brandon?
I haven't seen it in a long time. I couldn't tell you a thing about it because I just don't remember anything about it. So I guess I guess a purchase is in order. I guess I'll need to buy it and watch it.
I'll have to pick that up. All right, but chat, listen up. Me and Brandon are going to give you our top 5 zombie films of all time. And I want to hear yours as we wrap up. Brandon, do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You can go first.
Number 1, Return of the Living Dead, hands down. Number 2 is Lucio Fulci's Zombie. Number 3 is George A. Romero's Day of the Dead. Number 4 is George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead original.
Nice.
Number 5. I'm trying to see, do I go by legacy of the entries or how much I just genuinely enjoy them?
Now, are you going in order, Christian, from your favorite to least favorite, or are you just kind of naming them your top 5?
I'm giving you my top 5, and so far, my number 1 was my number 1, so they've been in order from number 1 to 5. Now I've got to give you my number 5, Brandon. I'm trying to figure out where to go here. I've got a couple places I could go. My gut is telling me to say ROTLD2, but I feel that the chat will chastise me for that. But I love it. I just love it. I don't know what else to say. I'm putting it in there. ROTLD2 is my number 5. My top 5 favorite zombie films. Favorite. Okay? Emphasis on the word favorite. All right, Brandon.
Okay, well, my top 3 are tied. So these aren't in any kind of order. They exist on the same level, which would be Day of the Dead 85, Return of the Living Dead 1, and Zombie 2. Those live together. Number 4 would be ROTLD 2. Number 5 would be Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. But my number 6 would be Dawn of the Dead original if I had a 6, right?
Right.
And my number 7 would probably be Dawn of the Dead 04 remake. Not to add 2 more or anything. I know it's top 7, but I just had to put those in there. Yeah. So.
All right, let's see what people are saying. This was a great stream. I love talking brains. Thank you, Hard Business. Appreciate it. Michael, Night of Living Dead 68, Return of the Living Dead, Zombie 2, Death Dream, and Dawn of the Dead 78. Marco has 28 weeks at number 1, Day of the Dead at number 2, Night of the Living Dead at number 3, Return of the Living Dead at number 4, and at 5 he has the Dawn remake. Says he's not really a big zombie fan though. Still a good list. So, all right, Brandon, man, this was awesome.
It was fun, man.
I'm sure you're worn out. We went 2 hours and, good God, 30 minutes.
Yep, and we can probably keep going for another 2 hours if we wanted to.
Thank you, Savoy, 1984, 449 super chat. Good morning from the UK. Day of the Dead for me. Still remember seeing the trailer at the cinema when I was 11. That is fantastic, dude. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Savoy, 1984. Day of the Dead, man. If you go back and watch this stream, Savoy, you would hear us absolutely praise Day of the Dead as George Romero's greatest zombie film he ever created, and we wholeheartedly feel that way. So yeah, people are chiming in. Oh, we've got Day of the Dead at number 1 from Spy the Bearded Guy. So, all right, Brandon, dude, fucking awesome. Thank you guys. Hopefully we inspired you in some way tonight. I know we've caused a few people to purchase Return of the Living Dead 2 tonight, which is awesome to hear. Please follow up with us. Show us your purchases. Let us know when you get your Blu-rays for Return of the Living Dead Part 2. We love you guys. Have a great weekend. If you don't check anything out from me the rest of the weekend, I've got a stream tomorrow night with the podcast. It's a costume party. Brandon might actually show up for a second tomorrow night.
I'm going to try.
I'll be doing a You Need a Horror Podcast costume party tomorrow night. But if you don't come and hang out, have a great weekend. Have a great Halloween. And watch a zombie film for me tomorrow or tonight. Go watch Day of the Dead, Return of the Living Dead 2.
Children shouldn't play with dead things.
Children shouldn't play with dead things. It's on Tubi. If you want to watch it on Tubi, go for it. Or Burial Ground. Check out Burial Ground. Some great ones, guys. Are zombie. Just write these movies down, please. All right, guys. Love y'all. Kick ass. Stay safe. And good night.